And now you can get it out.
You guys ready?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to West Covina City Council meeting. Today is March 7, 2023. And this meeting is now in session. It is 7 o'clock. Tonight's invocation will be led by Mr. Andrew Salas, Tribal Chairperson from the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Tribal Government, Quiche Nation, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for having us, council members, and everybody that's here. Good evening. My name is Andy Salas, and I'm the tribal chair of the government here, of the Indigenous government here in the Los Angeles Basin. I'm going to start off with a little prayer for all of us. And usually we bow, but today we're going to look up. And we're going to call on the Creator. Oh, Great Spirit, let us know peace. As long as the moon shall rise, as long as the rivers shall flow, as long as the sun shall shine, and for as long as the grass shall grow, let us know peace. Lead us to the path of peace and understanding. Let us all live together here on earth as brothers and sisters, for life here on earth is short. Let us acknowledge all the blessings that the Creator has provided here on Mother Earth to all of us. For without Him, none of us will be here. Nawika, Ao, Kwata, Tahahanuka. Giving thanks to the Creator. Thanks for the breath of life. And we also speak on behalf of the animals, for they too were given the breath of life. Ao. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, place your right hand. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please sit. Please sit.
I think this man needs medical attention, sir.
Yes. Could I have some order, please? Order. Please sit.
Okay. Do you need medical attention? No.
Let's continue. Assistant City Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Councilman Contos?
Here.
Councilman Wu?
Here.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado? Present. Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai?
Present.
Mayor Diaz?
Here. Okay, we had no closed session today, so we have nothing to report. It was canceled. Excuse me, can we please be quiet? Thank you. Thank you. We did. No, what they're concerned about is what they're wearing behind their sweaters. So, City Attorney? I'm sorry that we have to tolerate this. Right. So hopefully he does that. So what we want to do now is we have certificates of recognition for the Pony League, and I'd like to. So tonight we are congratulating the Pony League champions and the Pinto 2022 World Series champions. We'd like to congratulate the players for all their hard work. And so I'd like to have the coaches come down. We have Cody Blandino, Brian Rice, Joel Valtieria, Miguel Ponce, and Jamie Blandino.
Testing.
If you could go up there. No, the kids stay. If you go up there. No. They stay. Stay here. Wrong. If you could follow our directions. Yes, please. Stay here.
Certificates are ready too.
If you want to go through the names, and then I have them right.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so if we can have, do you want to go with the coaches first?
Okay. The certificate's right there.
Okay. So we can start with the coaches. Cody Blandino, is that you? Yes. Okay, here's the certificate. Brian Rice, if you could please stay here. Thank you. Joe Valtierra. Miguel Ponce. And Jamie Blandino. Yes, absolutely. Okay, is this working? Okay, now we're going to start with Nicholas Blandino. Okay, next is Tinley Rice. Joey Valtera. Maximiliano Ponce. Brandon Archondo. Sebastian Gomez. Cruz Claremont. Samia Chavez. Maya. James Valverde. Okay. Well, these are our champions here.
Come in the middle.
Okay. Scoot over this way. This way. Scoot over this way. This way. This way. This way. This way. This way. Brandon, right here. Okay. Good. Yeah, turn it over like this. Turn it over like this. Put it like this. Like this. Very good. Like this. Very good. Like this. Okay. Very good. We got it. Oh, we got him. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Hi. I'd like to know. Okay, so what coach? Who wants to talk? Who wants to? Okay, here you go.
I guess it's me. First off, thank you, City of West Covina, for doing this for us. It means a lot. Parents, this was a great experience for us. As having 3 4-year-olds, it was absolutely insane, not thinking much of anything. But these kids, they were determined. They worked their butt off, and we're extremely proud. And, especially with the parents, they had to deal with us. We had a crazy schedule. We were practicing or playing almost daily. We're out there 4 or 5 times a week just to get these kids going. So thank you. Thank you, Walmarato. I think that's it for me. You guys got anything?
Well, thank you so much, and we're really proud of you. You guys did a great job being the World Series champions. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now.
So awesome.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to go on to the Pintos. Okay. So we're going to start with calling up the coaches. Luis Velasquez. Bobby Cerna. Francisco Herrera. And our team moms, we have Dominique Cerna and Nicole Banks. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Pintos. Robinson Moncada. Michael Navarro. Noah Sedano. Francisco Herrera. Tiger Cerna. Adam Sawyer. Sebastian. Seabass. Oh, it says Sebastian here. Brandon Barajas. Jaden Hernandez. Joe Aragon. And last but not least, Evan Rivera. Okay, coaches, who wants to talk? Lewis?
I just want to. I want to congratulate the 7 Pinto All-Star team. Great group of kids. The last 3 years, they've been in every division World Series, 4, 5, 6, and actually 4 years and 7. And we're always in the final game. And it's a good group of kids. A lot of athletes out of Walmarato. This is a little taste of what we have going on in that park. Over 700 kids. This is my 10th. I coached my grandson until I was here like 10 years ago with my Bronco World Series team. So it's really nice to be here and still see the productivity coming out of that park and actually going to high school and college. So great group of kids. Coaching staff was great. All the family and the support that we had. This division is really hard to win, and the Pony Pinto World Series, it's really hard to get there. We got there, and because of all the good athletes that we had and the coaching staff. And both team moms did a great job in keeping us together, keeping us line, and making sure that everything was planned out. And thank you, parents, again.
Thank you. I think they went out. Maybe.
Coaches could go on the back. Yeah, picture.
Oh, you want to
Take a picture.
Picture. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No? Okay, thank you. This one. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now I want to call up the president, Callie Mordoff. There you go. I'm sure that not without you, they would not be able to do all this. And we want to thank you from the city. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to say a few words?
You know, it's hard being a president of the league and having parents and dealing with kids, but I enjoy every moment of it, and I do it for the kids. And having them win champion, it's not hard. It's not easy. We haven't won a Pinto championship. Well, we won one last year, the year before, but it's been years since we won before that. So this talent that comes out of this park is amazing, and I'm looking forward to them to doing it over and over again. So thank you guys, and thank you parents, and I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. Thank you, City. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
And congratulations, yes. Okay, we're moving on. Yeah.
Delay.
Okay, today we have a presentation by Mr. Andrew Salas, Tribal Chairperson from the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Tribal Government, Peace Nation.
Hello, and good evening once again. My name is Andrew Salas, and I'm the Tribal Chair of the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Keach Nation. I recognize a few there in the audience that I've met at the West Covina Society, the Historical Society here. Thank you for being here. And over here we have some of our tribal members and supporters of our tribe this evening. Thank you. So I want to say something for the record that's very important. A few weeks ago, you had a meeting here, and there was individuals here. I wasn't here to represent. None of our members, tribal members, were here we didn't even know about it, but one member that we sent last minute so that they could clear the record that those individuals that came that day did not represent this tribal government. We are the tribal government. We are the foundation of the Los Angeles Basin. And through our history, we have a unique history here in the Los Angeles Basin in California. The history here begins with our direct tribe, with my family, with our tribe, the descendants. My great-great-grandfathers, we descend from the location which was called Savangna, through my great-great-grandfathers, which is over in the Whittier Narrows area near the 60 and San Gabriel Boulevard, which the Spanish, when they arrived, they called that area and this area of what is now West Covina, La Misión Vieja, the old mission area. My grandmothers, my great-grandmothers descend from right here in West Covina, which was originally known as Rancho La Puente, or historically known as Rancho La Puente, but formerly known and prehistorically known as Awingna. this area. We're the natives, the indigenous people, the descendants that named Cucamonga, Topanga, Cahuenga, Canoga, Pacoina, Azuzangna. So we are the direct lineal descendants in history of California here in the Great Basin. The Spanish that arrived here, we became part of them. My grandfathers are the Perez Nietos of Rancho Los Nietos. And the Americans arrived here later, we became a part of them. My families and cousins are Benjamin D. Wilson of Mount Wilson and Ramona Yorba of Yorba Linda. My father, Ernie, who's no longer with us, but was our chief and spiritual leader of our tribe, lived with George Patton at the Patton Ranch over at the Huntington Library. I've shared that with the Historical Society. These descendants that you see sitting in this audience right now are the direct lineal descendants of the LA Basin. We're the foundation. So, for the record, I do want to correct what happened last week, because everybody that came and shouted and even used our name, they're not members, enrolled members of our people, of our tribe. We are the tribe that received state proclamation in 1994. We're the tribe. The state of California recognizes us as the tribal government of the LA Basin. So, I know we have a little presentation here. You know, if you want to get started, again, you could show there's a small, just short, but it gives you the history here of what was known as Awingna, later Rancho La Puente. My family's also, and I forgot to mention, and sorry, you know, I have more documentations I brought, and I want to share them with you. We're the servants of the Rolands, the Temples, the Workmans, and even the Baldwins, who later resided in these areas and became land owners of these areas. We are the actual descendants. So no one speaks on behalf of this tribe or this government in the LA Basin but us. I'm the representative of the tribal government. So I just want to say my apologies if you heard our name, our tribal name, that day that they screamed out several times. We were not here. So with that, I want to leave you. I want to say thank you. And thank you for having us tonight. And one more thing I wanted to add, and I forgot, I'm sorry. We have had a long time relationship here with the city of West Covina. We consult with West Covina on the protection of tribal cultural resources. So we've been here and we've been interacting just like those governments that came, the Spanish, Mexican, and American governments that settled here. Today, our government-to-government relationship with the city of West Covina has been very good and very respectful. So thank you all for having us here tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Salas? Excuse me. Mr. Salas?
Yes.
Can you come back? I think we have some questions.
Yes.
Is that okay?
I want to leave this package.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much to come over here and give explanation and the education. But do you want to show this clip? I haven't seen it yet. Okay, are you going to show it or are we going to show?
No, you get it. I mean, I kind of gave the history, you get background, but you could go ahead.
How long is the segment?
It's probably like not even. For the record, I want to mention this. Again, I don't know if anybody understands, but our tribe has been for 30 years experienced a great atrocity in this time. And that is people using our history to benefit themselves. This term that has been going around, Tongva, has destroyed our culture, our history, our identity. And today, not much of our elders are left. But these youth that are here are spreading the word to protect our identity from this atrocity that we are experiencing today. So our tribe, our people, the indigenous people of the LA Basin, I know that you hear it all over, this term Tongva, but there was no such tribe. And those documents that I brought to you today, that I'm going to share with all of you, for the public to read, right there you're going to see that there was no such tribe. So we could go ahead and show the small little clip if you like. And it's basically on the background of our history here.
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Okay. So this is remember, the history I just provided, it pertains to this tribe. So we could get started. I'm not good with watching and talking at the same time. So, I like to go kind of oral, just like the old rappers, just freelance. Just go, you know what I mean? So this is my father, chief and spiritual leader, Ernie Salas. He's no longer with us today, but he was the leader of our tribe. And he's still in our hearts, the leader of our tribe. He descends through his grandfathers from the village of Siba, Savangna, like I mentioned earlier. And through his grandmothers, he is from Awingna, which is right here in the area of Rancho La Puente, now West Covina, parts of West Covina. These are some events that we've had in the past with my father. This one here was, I believe it was over in, this might have been in Orange County. We had an event there showing talking about our culture, showing our resources, artifacts that are collected or protected during construction or ground disturbance activities on developments. The bottom one there next to the bear, that's the Pomona. We went and we were able to put a plaque there on the history over at Ganesha Park. And that's the state proclamation. That's a copy of it, the state proclamation. We have the originals. That's a straight state proclamation. When we received our state recognition as Gabrielino Tribal Council of San Gabriel, 1994, AJR 96. That's the name that we got that we directly got our proclamation, state recognition. This is a photograph of La Misión Vieja. This is what the first mission would have looked like over in the area closer to the Whittier Narrows area. Remember, our villages overlapped here. La Puente, West Covina were part of La Misión Vieja. So the first mission was built a willow and tule, which is why you see it like that. And if you guys are familiar with Rosemead Boulevard and Rush, or where the Edison building's at today, over where Edison's corporate offices, that is the area of Savannah. That's why they call that little area Rosemead Savannah High School, Savannah Cemetery. It originates from the village of Savannah. So that's what it would have looked like. It got washed away, and then we moved up to higher land, up to San Gabriel, where you see the mission today. This is just a photo. Good-looking guy, right? This is just a photo in the history of my great-great-great-grandfather, 1785, Nicholas Joseph. He was given the name Nicholas Joseph, who descended from the village of Siba, Savangna. Throughout the 21 missions, our direct history is mentioned throughout the 21 missions. Our lineage is mentioned in the records when the first Spanish arrived here. And my great-great-grandfather led revolts here in 1785 against the Spanish for the way we were being treated. And he was sentenced for those actions and did prison time in San Francisco. This is the history, or it gives the history of La Misión Vieja, of our people. It's all in the information I provided to you. It's the information pertaining to our indigenous background here in the Los Angeles Basin. This is when the Spanish arrived here, 1769, 1771, in La Misión Vieja. This is where it all started. This area, we were the Quiche people. To the Spanish, we were known as the Quecherinos later because of the quiche houses that we lived in. That's why I have this emblem here on my shirt here, which that's how we were recognized, not only by us, but our sister tribes, San Manuel, the Luceño, the Cahuilla. They all knew us later as Quichanos, which is because of our houses. This is just a map of the old ranchos that once existed in these areas here. And my great-great-grandfather that became my great-great-great-grandfather was Juan Crispin Perez Nietos of Rancho Los Nietos. His brother was Manuel Perez Nietos, and they received the largest land grant of California. They were owners of 360,000 acres. They were the owners of Huntington Beach, Bolsa, Seal Beach, Los Alamitos, Gardena, Bellflower, Los Coyotes, Pico Rivera, La Mirada, Norwalk, Fullerton, all the way up to La Misión Vieja in this area of La Puente where we descend from. Here's the map of Awingna, the area that it encompassed throughout the West Covina, La Puente area. So that's also in that packet that we provided to you. And here's some old pictures of the old, more up to date, probably in the early 1900s, of what Rancho La Puente used to look like, or again, West Covina. And that's the end. I didn't want to provide too much info because
No, thank you.
What we have experienced in the past.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. Okay, and I think this is a wonderful, very educational because I do not equip this kind of knowledge. But thank you so much. And a week ago, Friday, and I accept your invitation.
Yes.
Okay, I know you sent an email to us.
Yes.
Okay, you say, hey, if you want to understand about the history.
Yes.
Come to my, okay.
Yes, and some of you did come. I appreciate it. You guys, everybody came, and those that weren't able to make it, but I wanted you to come just to hear more and show you more. Right now, we're as when you saw when you arrived, we're putting together a museum on the history here of our culture, our history, background of the LA Basin, the indigenous history, the Spanish. All of it's going to be there, pictures and all. So. Yes, and those of you that weren't able, I sent letters out, emails, to give everybody an opportunity to come and see us.
Yeah.
But those of you that couldn't, I understand, and those of that could, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I know, okay, we have a tribal government, okay,
yes, sir.
in our area, okay, located in the
yes.
centers, in Covina. So I think this is something very good, and I know all our CEQA, okay, have to go through you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and to basically approval, so we know you are legit.
You are correct.
And you've been working with city for a long time.
A long time.
Okay, I think this is such a good opportunity with this incident, and we can kind of connect to each other.
Yes, and that's why we're here.
And that's why I want to plead with the city and your tribe, okay, and the people that we can work together.
Yes, sir.
That maybe we can preserve, okay, of your culture and your tradition. I think that's more important for a younger generation to appreciate what the history and what the culture, okay, what the tradition and how the lifestyle, and we can kind of let people to understand. I don't know if they teach in the school right now about that, but I hope people...
We'd be happy to come in and teach more.
Understand the roots, okay? And again, I really appreciate you give us all this information. So we, hopefully in the future, we have an event and we can invite you, okay, as your tribal government to us, that we can kind of know each other much more. But thank you so much. It's an honor to know
thank you. And our goal is to help educate the public, educate the city on our history, our culture. Not a lot of people are really interested in our history and culture, but there's a lot that are. And the history here starts with us. So our goal is to share that history with you, because the city, as a government, you are the mediators between us and the great public to give them awareness of the indigenous history here in this great basin that we all share, all of us together. So again, thank you. And I appreciate any questions?
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Woolley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for being here. I said the last time that I wanted to learn, and so I just need to ask a few questions because I would love to understand more about this. So first, what's the term Tongva, and what's the origin of that word? When did it come to be? What is the origin of that? Because we hear that term, and I'm just wondering if you could first describe that and explain that, please.
That is a term that was used for political reasons. That was a term that was infiltrated or forced on our elders in 1993, 1994. We're good people. We've always have been welcoming people. My father saved a site in Santa Monica, California in 1992, 93. It was in the area of Curravungna. It was a natural spring that was going to be destroyed by development. The organization there, which was West LA organization, was looking for the indigenous government to help them preserve that site. They came to San Gabriel. They reached out to my father and the tribe, our elders. Remember, half of my family and those elders that are no longer here didn't have the opportunity to fulfill college, high school. They probably didn't even go to school. And half of them, I know my dad went up to 5th grade, 4th grade. And it's not because they didn't want to. It's because they were occupied being the house servants and plantation workers of a lot of the prominent families here who resided here. But in 1994, my dad's mission was to save this particular site. And when he did, there was a group of individuals, including a professor of Long Beach State, who said they were going to help us with our recognition. And we fed them it sounded good. So we fed them all the history we could. When my dad saved that site and received the symbolic key to that site, is when these individuals, some of them that walked in that day here at your meeting, took advantage of them and said, Ernie, you just received your state proclamation. You just received your very first nonprofit. Now it's time that you use this name Tongva to establish for federal recognition. The elders fought against that term. But as I mentioned, these individuals who were academia smart took them over. They infiltrated that name on our government and our people, stole our history, and ran off to gain off that name scholarships, acting as tribal governments, receiving monies, falsifying their history, their background, their lineages. That's what they did. And that name has spread like cancer, Tongva, and is destroying our culture, our history. Some of the children are here, sitting here, that are fighting to protect our identity because of that name. Now, let me explain how this teacher found that name. In the 1900s, there was a historian by the name of C. Hart Merriam. He was a biologist. He was hired by the Berkeley family to study the local natives, indigenous people of the Los Angeles basin. When he did, it's not something he wanted to do. It's something that they paid him to do. That's why he went out on the mission to start to research the local Indians of the area. He came to San Gabriel in the areas. This is in the 1900s, 1903. Came to San Gabriel, And when he came to San Gabriel, he asked the mission, where are the indigenous people and where do they live? The mission told him, right over there in that little area, there's a little barrio near the mission where all the indigenous, Spanish, Mexican, and American families still reside. So they went knocking the doors, asking for interviews. Nobody gave him anything. Why? Because we weren't citizens in our own homelands until 1924, 1926. So nobody said anything, which means not being a citizen, it was open game even during that time against us indigenous people. So he went back to the mission and he asked the mission, where could I find out? Nobody wanted to talk to me over there. They said, go over to Fort Tejon, over by the Grapevine, where Benjamin D. Wilson of Mount Wilson helped establish a reservation. There's Indians there from San Gabriel. He went and he met with Jesus Haro. And when he interviewed Jesus Haro, he asked him, from where do you descend from? Where do you come from? Jesus Haro told him, I was born of the village of Tovascangna. And he said, could you mention that again? Because in the notes I have, it's noted by C. Hart Merriam, Tovascangna. But because he could not pronounce, Merriam C. Hart could not pronounce or write down the name, he wrote down Tongvi Tongva. Never got his notes published. He died in 1945. In 1965, students at Berkeley gathered that information and published it without even verifying the information. So in 1993, 1994, that scholar, that teacher that was teaching at Long Beach State, Cindy Alvitri, that's her name, she brought that name, I have the document, where she said that we had to use that name. But in that document in 2008 that I provided, you're going to read, they interviewed her again. They interviewed her once again, 2008. And she says there was no such tribe called Tongva. After they used us, after they did and sucked everything out of us, not everything because we're still here, but after they sucked everything out of our elders, they ran off with our history. And then some of them now even state that there was no such tribe, because there is no such tribe. This is just half of the tribal government that's here. We're 560 members strong, and we're still having little ones. We're still here. We're the indigenous people. We will always be here. We're not going anywhere. So, again, thank you. And thank you for asking that question.
Any other questions? Councilman Contos, did you have another one?
Well, so just this is stunning to me. So you're saying that the word Tongva is literally made up?
It's made up, sir.
It's made up.
It's made up, and those individuals that made it up, I have genealogy on all of them that they are not even blood descendants of the indigenous people here. Correct.
They aren't. Okay. So what is the, can you explain the tradition whenever there are people of different tribal nations who come to the tribe of another nation? Is there any sort of protocol of where they need to talk with you or check with you?
It's called respect. Anytime I go, it's called respect. Anytime I go to another nation, another tribe, it's like me coming to your house. I'm going to call you before I go to your home. We are brought up before even coming here and announcing our name. If those individuals were who they say they are, they would have picked up the phone and contacted me as the tribal government of the LA Basin and notified me of them being here. Indigenous people have a protocol, and the protocol is contacting natives, other natives of those areas, that you're going to come within their areas of tradition, their ancestral territory, and speak. So again, if I were to go to Pachanga, if I were to go to San Manuel, I just don't go over there. I pick up the phone and let them know I'm coming. And I could see on that day during the meeting you had, that did not happen. Because I didn't get a phone call. Did you? Any of you?
So they literally, not one of those individuals who were here reached out to you as the sovereign government, tribal government of this region?
Not one. Not one. I don't do social media, but thanks that Michael over there, he does social media. He saw that and he says, I better run over there. You know, we talked and I said, you better go over there. I couldn't. I had a bad back at the time. But I said, go down there. He was on his way back to Ventura from our office because a lot of my family moved in that area of Ventura early on. But he was going back and he goes, you know what? I'll stop over there and I'll just let them know that there is not a representative of the Keech Nation here. I'm the representative, but I would like to set up a meeting to speak with all of you in a later time. Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. I hope I answered your questions.
You did, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Letty Lopez-Riado.
Thank you. I know the whole council, including staff, or I don't know that whole email list. I know you or someone emailed us before the last council meeting, the day before, and that you heard about this protest last minute. So I understand that you weren't able to come because it was last minute. And noted to be careful of doing any land acknowledgements,
right,
especially which tribe acknowledges it. And I know that you're recognized by the state. Can you explain to us the importance and what the value of land acknowledgement? Because I know some people think it's not a big deal. But we'd like to know. And I know I've been busy the last 2 weeks, but I am going to stop by to get more of the history of your tribe. But I just wanted, I and myself definitely would like to know what this importance of land acknowledgement is. And is it only like certain tribes do this? And just if you could share more information about
land acknowledgement has been incorporated. The state of California gave its apology. The county is giving their apology. For the indigenous people, for the atrocities that they have experienced in their past. And they say their past, but we're still experiencing them today. But a land acknowledgement is just the way it sounds. The little prayer I gave earlier, did you hear me come up and say me, 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 me?
No.
I acknowledged the land. Because it's the land that we need to acknowledge in this land acknowledgement. If it was regarding a tribe or people, then it would be an indigenous acknowledgement. But a land acknowledgement from coming from natives, it's recognizing the land for the gifts that the land provides to us. Without the gifts that were provided to all of us in here, none of us would be here. And I'm talking about the water, the oil, the mineral, the trees, the plants, the animals. You see a lot of development. And my grandpa always used to say, at the end of days, we're going to destroy ourselves. And it's true. So when you give a land acknowledgement, you're acknowledging Mother Earth. She's like all the mothers, or if there's any mothers, there is mothers in here. Mothers in here, you mothers who give birth. The earth, Mother Earth, gives birth. And those gifts are provided from the Creator to the land, to Mother Earth. And those gifts are what sustain us. Even today, sustain a lot of us here. A lot of the cities here have a resource that is sustainable to them, that keep them thriving. In ancient times, those resources is what kept us alive. That's why we give acknowledgement to the earth, Mother Earth, a land acknowledgement. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And, and I appreciate that, especially with your prayer, that it focuses in the present.
Yeah,
thank you. I know sometimes things, talk about the past, the violence, the oppression, the hate, which we've all gone through that, but I appreciate the present, the now, the future.
Right.
So that I greatly appreciate. And is there, is it a big deal if certain tribes, whether they're legitimate or not, give land acknowledgement?
They shouldn't. The ancestral tribe of the area should be giving an indigenous acknowledgement and a land acknowledgement. Just not everybody. That's out of respect.
Got it.
Tribal entities, if I were to go to Cancun, you think I'm going to go give an acknowledgement over there? No, they're going to spear me. There's still native people out there. It's out of respect. The indigenous tribe of that ancestral area should be doing the land acknowledgement and the indigenous acknowledgement, not just anybody. That's why a lot of us are all confused with a lot of the history here. See, we could provide an indigenous acknowledgement that is based on facts, not just at face value or hearsay, on facts. Just like the little oral history that I gave earlier, there's much more to it. I could give you those documents. That's why I'm going to invite everybody to the museum when I have all this information ready to go in a few weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Just to answer Councilman Wu, in ethnic studies, we do actually center the indigenous nation. And just last week, we spoke about one of those rebellions led by your great-grandfather.
Thank you.
And Toipurina. And it was definitely something I am looking forward to. I know I had emailed about coming this week, so
yeah, sure. You're welcome.
Waiting for a response, so that'll be great. And again, I think what's wonderful about what's been happening is we are actually now starting to think about that past and why it's so important to center the indigenous of this space, especially as we had this 100th anniversary. And so I really just wanted to say we appreciate
Thank you.
The presentation, the history, and how many people really are. I mean, I got so many responses from residents saying, you know, we didn't know. We want to learn more.
Yeah.
Like, people want to learn more. And so
and we want to teach more.
Of course. And I think this is just a wonderful opportunity for us. And thank you for your presentation.
No, thank you. And you know, originally we descend, Nicholas Joseph was his Spanish name, Nicholas Jose, but he was given the name Gradillas later. And from there he had a son, Joaquin, and then Jack. Those were my dad's times in the 40s and 50s, his cousin Jack. And here, sitting in the audience over there, stand up. Mm-hmm. That is Richard Gradillas. He still has the Gradillas name that Nicholas Joseph was given by the Spanish. So he still carries the name. So thank you again, and thank you for the kind words. And thank all of you for having us here. We're here to help. We're here to teach. We're here to teach not only the indigenous, but through the Spanish, Mexican, American, because we became part of that culture, that history. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Salas. That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to oral communications. If anyone would like to address the council, please fill out a yellow speaker card and submit it to the assistant city clerk. How many do we
Mayor, I have 7 speakers.
Okay.
Our first speaker is Angie Gillingham, followed by Mike Greenspan, followed by Herman.
Good evening. At last City Council meeting, on the agenda, the city was declaring city-owned land once again as surplus due to the 2 contracts that were terminated at what was known as one as the Yard and the 2 plots at the BKK. I watched our councilman, sometimes commercial realtor, salivate over the re-declaring of the property as surplus and the potential development he sees for our city and the potential revenue. After 7 long years tied up with a company known as Sapoli, we are now concerned over creating revenue. He questioned the city attorney to ask, can we build houses up there? Response from our city attorney was yes. What I wish the city attorney would have added was, yes, after the land is remediated at the cost of $700 to $800 million, which will take years to accomplish, and after the eight agencies approve any plans for development. Remember, Simpoli never submitted a plan to the eight agencies in the 7 years they were engaged with the city. I was also disappointed that my councilman from District 4 was silent on this subject. He understands that we in District 4, where this resides, are very much against any type of housing development or hotel. Do the right thing. Look into revenue-generating business that does not disrupt the unlined toxic landfill just adjacent to this city-owned land. Council has been provided continuously over 5 years information from Livable West Covina that spells out for you very clearly what exists on that site. Put health and welfare of the residents before profit. Thank you.
Mike Greenspan, followed by Herman, followed by Peggy Martinez.
Okay. Mike Greenspan, and I'm not going back to Florida. I'm staying here. No matter what kind of racist, bigoted, hairy nears out of beautiful downtown Burbank will tell me, I will not go. And I don't care how big his church is, St. Finbar in Burbank. After all, Burbank now has one of their members of Congress who's going for the U.S. Senate. Well, we ought to know what Burbank's really about. A lot of hatred, a lot of bigotry, and that's the way they've always been. In fact, in the LA umpiring unit, a man named Mel Patterson used to umpire there, black man, and those white trash Okies would call him a nigger from the stands. I just thought, for the record, we ought to know what goes on in these communities. And now people think that, after all, LA City Council President Paul Krikorian went from school board in Burbank to assembly and then jumped over to LA. Just thought you want to know where some of these people have their backgrounds. Now, I recently went by the Caruso Catholic Center, the Our Savior's Catholic Church. It's written one time on there. Caruso's name is on there 4 times. I didn't have to take a math course at University of Florida. I fulfilled it in junior college, but I can count to 4. And after all, Caruso, desperate to be mayor, said he'll take his name off that Catholic church. We're still waiting, aren't we? He's so slimy, he'll say anything to get a vote. And the people in L.A. saw right through him and rejected him. Now, he was going to take his name off because they were against Proposition 1, the woman's right to choose, and he was for it. But he spent all his life giving to anti-abortion groups. Isn't that interesting? Now, KNX, they asked crib questions. 3 things the mayor can't do. Now, I've cut lots of classes. I probably would have cut in Brian's class if I had been matriculated in it, just for the challenge, just because it's fun. And 3 things the mayor of L.A. can't do. He can't sign a death warrant. He can't declare war. He can't appoint a judge to the Supreme Court. And why an idiot like Caruso couldn't answer. It was all about, I was young, and people said, you can't do this, you can't do that. It wasn't about him. He's the guy who's given money to Mitchell Englander each and every time. Where did Englander wind up? Federal prison. Those scandals are bigger now. Jose Huizar's pled guilty. Mr. Chan is under trial right now. And a lot of people in the construction field were deprived of a 77-story building in L.A., the tallest in the West. Of course, it was dirty money, bribe money being put into it. But think of all those jobs those union goons would have had. Well, now we're approaching Lent, even though Jesus never went on an Easter egg hunt. About a couple weeks ago, Lenten favorites over there at Food for Less, which is part of Ralph's and Kroger. Now, they have cooked, let me put my glasses on to read it, catfish. Yes, Jesus never ate any catfish. Peeled shrimp, raw or cooked. Jesus never ate fish. I mean, we need to read Leviticus 11. It'll tell us the foods you should eat and the foods you shouldn't. I know you're going to celebrate Easter, even though none of the disciples did Easter. They all did Passover. Jesus never went on an Easter egg hunt. His last meal, he never had brunch with the bunny in La Puente on Saturday the 8th, or breakfast with the bunny, or brunch with the bunny in Downey. He had a Last Supper. Just, hey, those of us who cut a lot of class and skipped a lot of school still managed to do a lot of learning. It just wasn't the standard stuff. And nobody's been to hell for eating meat on Friday. What can I say? People have tried to shove false doctrines down my throat ever since I was a kid. And the principal tried to sing about it. Eat your fish, it's so good! The old bag trying to get me to eat that stinky yaller fish. Against my doctrines. No Jew or Protestant or Native American or anybody else or Buddhist or Muslim would go to hell for eating meat on Friday, much less a Catholic. Somebody's been lying from Vatican City, telling a big-time lie. Of course, those are the same people that imprisoned the Native Americans in St. Augustine, Florida, the Spanish Catholics. Yes, folks, great job they've done. And, of course, look old Rick. Who endorsed Rick? Well, one of those four racists, Gil Cedillo. Yes, he was one of those Caruso backers. And I'll take this for the record.
Herman, followed by Peggy Martinez, followed by Daryl Spivey. No. I am not going to read that.
I officially did not put my name on it, so when I write the word nigger on it as my name, you should put my name on there for the record. It was nigger, Nigger, for the record. Thank you. So what is my proclamation? My proclamation is the end of days. It is the end of days. Because symbolism, flags, our views of what is symbolism, placards, are considered racist and prejudiced, but yet you disrespected the Native Americans of America by placing them in concentration camps and ordering them to remove yourself from the indigenous land that they belong to. But to your heart and consideration, it doesn't bother you. It never did. It never will. I will always be a minority because the color of my skin. I will always be in fear of the government because you're white motherfuckers too. Just like me. Born in Phoenix, Arizona, but called a white nigger too according to my documents. But I'm not going to go into the history of why I call myself a nigger. You should know why. That's how you treated me all these days of my life. And the reason, you saw the attack during the Pledge of Allegiance. You pledge an allegiance and you allow a man to attack somebody over a flag. Over a flag. It's protected symbolism of free speech. He wasn't hitting anybody. He wasn't blocking any view. He was attacked and fell right there to his head. And I witnessed it. Brutal witness to a crime. Not only was he injured physically at his elbow, but he could have died by an aneurysm. The old fucking man named as Greenspan for the record. So you better get your shit together and start explaining to the public what free speech is before you insert that it's violating your rights. This is the right of the people. If the people wish to engage and circulate back and forth in debate, this is where it's at. There's no violence. But I raise my voice for the proclamation of the end of days, knowing that racist prejudice in 1924 to 1926, you didn't allow Indians to be called citizens. Shame on you. Shame on all you. And as I watched the videos of Adolf Hitler massacred thousands, if not trillions of people, it's all in the name of God. But the German God at the time. So everyone has a different God. Mr. Wu's a god of money. Ms. Letty is a god of beauty. Ms. Rosario, the mayor, is a god of what? Thank you. Thank you. And the reason why we need respect and effective communication, Mr. Wu, so that a result that somebody here does not get injured over a flag or a cardboard sign. Fuck Sacramento. Fuck the governor. Racist tyrant piece of shit. Because you bring terrorism. Inflation, gas going up, gas in our vehicles going up, and now soon a generation of people, young and old and disabled, will be living on the streets because they can't afford the rent. That's what I scream about. That's oral communication. Now, for the record, Bautista versus the County of Los Angeles, United States decision of the Supreme Court, 562 U.S. 443, United States Bagdasarian, and Hess versus Indiana. And let me read it passionately into the record. The appellant has said and was saying, we'll take the fucking street later, or we'll take the fucking street again. Now, as you heard, this is not language of violation of one's First Amendment. This is constitutional protected speech. The same way Brandenburg versus Ohio, the nigger KKK allowed you to come and video him in his own property, and then you tolerate it by what? Imprisoning a man under a false doctrine. Just like the San Gabriel Tribune and whatever paper they write in San Gabriel, all lies. Have I been incarcerated for free speech? Let's go ask the Long Beach judge, Jennifer H. Copps. Because where's that fat douchebag, Mr. Wu, your friend, who writes falsehoods in stories about one gadfly who speaks the truth of First Amendment, 42 U.S.C. 1983? Fuck you.
Peggy Martinez, followed by Daryl Spivey, followed by Jim Grivich.
Huh.
First of all, I am so in favor of the First Amendment and free speech. But when you talk about respect, the only thing that people would ask is that you understand sometimes that there are young children here. And when there are young children here, they don't understand that type of stuff. So in that aspect, that is what we're talking about.
Please address the council.
I understand, but I felt the need to say it.
I know. I understand.
Anyway, hello, my name is Peggy Martinez. Good evening, council. I have been a resident here in West Covina, District 1, for 40 years. I am here today. I normally watch at home because I watch my grandchildren, but I felt the need to come today because the last couple of meetings, and then including this one, I feel like there's a lot of disrespect going on. And I came here, and I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to bring something up that I have not cleared with you, but I feel it needs to be addressed. A resident told me that this council tried to prevent Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai from being seated in the Mayor Pro Tem seat. Now, that was secondhand information, so I did my due diligence and I went straight to the source and asked if that was true. He was honest and admitted that it was and said that it did not happen because Councilman Contos would not do it. So you did not have the 4-1. I felt so, because sometimes when I watch these, I feel like there's a lot of disrespect towards the Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai. He is the one who represents my district, and I feel so sad. I couldn't even imagine how that made him feel, that you would try to do that to him. So I'm here today to talk about, this seems to be a pattern with some of you. You know, the last one, it was Jamie Rocha. And what happened with Jamie Rocha? And you said, well, you didn't know. Well, just because you didn't know and you weren't told doesn't give you the green light to treat somebody like that. Okay? And then today, you bring another group who has to come up here and say they don't exist. That's another form of disrespect and hate. That's what it is. It's not funny. Mr. Wu, it's not funny. You know, there's so much hate in our city. You know, you brought up that he posted a picture that was on somebody's garage and that should have been kept private. You know, no, that's what you said. You know, that was between you guys. And he took the initiative to talk to that person and post it. You know, it's a form of hate. There's so much hate in this world. You know, the council meeting before that, I felt so bad for the trans tech people. 3 of them stood here while you guys were going to vote on a 3-year contract. And you sat there and said, why do we need 3 years? Why is it 2 years? What if I don't like what you do? Can we cancel you? You said it over and over and over again. I was at home. It's not funny. I was at home feeling really sorry for them. You know, there's so much disrespect. You know, you may not agree with one another. You truly may not. But you need to respect one another. You need to respect one another. You are representing our city, and this is not what the people want. This is not how to represent us. I've just been so frustrated at home that I felt the need to come. And you think it's funny, and that's part of the problem. You know, 3 people ran against you in this seat, and if there wasn't 3 of them, you would not be here because more people voted against you than for you. And that's the truth. Okay? That's the truth. You know, see, and it's that type of attitude. It's that type of attitude that brings among hate and disrespect. The way you treat other people, it's not right. It's a pattern in here. And it needs to stop because it's unbecoming of the seat that you sit on. It really is unbecoming of the seat. And what you did tonight, I appreciated it. I didn't know a lot of the culture. I did appreciate it. But the fact that he had to come up here and say how they have nothing to do with me, it brought about, now they're going to be at each other. Okay? That's what you've done now by bringing them here and letting them do that, but preventing Jamie Rocha from doing it. You have now created dissension amongst them. Okay? Another form of hate. I'm sorry, but it needs to stop.
Thank you.
Darrell Spivey, followed by Jim Grivich, followed by David Schwartz.
Well, thank you for having me up here and speaking my mind about what's going on and the issues. I've met some of you guys at a neighborhood meeting, which was really cool. And I hope I'm in the right spot for what I have to address here. What I have to address is regarding code enforcement and the police in my neighborhood. I live over by Shadow Oak Park. I guess it's District 5 or 4. I'm not even sure which because there's 4 different watch commanders in 4 different areas, but I always thought I was in District 5, which is a little bit calmer over there. However, we do have theft. We have crime. We have people doing donuts and the car ends up in the bushes, and we have trash being dumped, and we have graffiti. We have mail theft. I lost all my tools in my car. My car got broken into in the driveway. I set up Ring cameras to try to catch people, you know, doing crime or trying to break in the house. Someone did try to break in our house on September 28th. I have video of that. The response from the police department is, well, it's not really a crime, and, you know, we're understaffed. So, you know, they didn't really lift a finger to do anything. And that's pretty much the usual response I get whenever I report a crime or a crime in progress. For example, the fireworks banners that I don't know who spends the money on these big firework banners by Chile and Amar. But they're basically telling you to report illegal fireworks. So I find the people shooting off the fireworks, and I give them the exact address. They're shooting them up all day and night, and it shakes the house, and some hit the house, and some hit the cars. But the police do not respond, ever. They just kind of blow me off. But you know what? Okay, let me tell you something. I call also about the boulders falling onto the sidewalk that sit there for weeks. I call about the mailboxes falling down. Nobody does anything about it. The people behind us are running an illegal business 7 days a week with machines running day and night constantly, and code enforcement blows me off. Police blows me off. There's a lot more incidents. But anyway, they have time to come out in the rain and put these tickets in plastic bags when it's pouring down rain. I've got, you got to move your vehicle every 72 hours. Okay, well, I do that because I go to work. I have a business license with the city of West Covina. I pay my permits for my business and other endeavors. And I'm moving my vehicles. Am I being targeted? Is it my politics, or is it my name, or is it my skin color? I don't understand why I'm being targeted here. I've got a $65 ticket for an unattached trailer that was attached. I took photos, I sent it in, but I still have to send the money in and get denied. So there goes $65 that could go towards food. And right now, times are tough. And I got another ticket here yesterday. I guess the cop's sitting there waiting for people to not stop at the right part of the crosswalk bar. I stopped. You know, he knows I stopped, and he still can't explain what, where I stopped by the crosswalk bar was not adequate for him. Meanwhile, let me show you this. Okay, right near that crosswalk is. Let me find it here. A picture earlier. Okay, we have piles of trash right by that crosswalk. He could maybe take that time that he's trying to scrutinize how far I am from the crosswalk and giving me tickets that I can't afford that's going to affect my insurance for 3 years. And maybe he could call in the trash or something, or catch the guy doing donuts, or the mail theft, or the package thief. I just don't get it. I really don't understand why I'm targeted. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jim Grivich, followed by David Schwartz, followed by Brian Gutierrez.
Good evening. Last January, several residents addressed you about your campaign finance regulations that was on your agenda, and basically the report was that, as proposed, they were unconstitutional. And the City Council, with the help of the City Attorney, was kind enough on February 7th to vote to amend those campaign finance regulations to change the parts that were unconstitutional, and that's appreciated that happened. However, since that time, nothing's happened. You were told on February 7th that it would be brought back for a adoption second reading, and the meeting 2 weeks ago, it was not on the agenda. I asked about what happened, and I was told it would be on the agenda this evening. It's not on the agenda this evening. So I'm disturbed that, at least as of this moment, the ordinance as recommended by the City Council has not been corrected, and you still have an unconstitutional campaign finance regulation 2402 on your books. So I would appreciate it if I at least get some kind of answer on what happened and why it isn't being agendized. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Schwartz, followed by Brian Gutierrez, followed by R. Robinson.
Good evening. I was writing a letter that I was going to address you guys about what happened on February 21st. I haven't finished it yet because I was doing so much research and I want to get it right. So I'll do it next meeting. So right now, I just have a couple things that I want to first say thank you for. First one, I want to commend the West Covina Fire Department on their fast response to the Rolling Wood Apartments that started just before 1 o'clock a.m. on Sunday night. Although they arrived quickly, an apartment was fully involved in flames, trapping and killing the occupants inside. Unfortunately, the heroes were unable to safely enter the structure. However, because of the bravery and the professional actions of the West Covina Fire Department, along with some mutual aid, they were able to confine the major tragedy to the one apartment and a couple of smoke-filled adjacent units within about 15 minutes. So our fire department's doing a good job on that respect. I also want to wish my condolences to the family of this tragic apartment fire. A grandmother, toddler, and an infant died at the scene. I encourage anyone to donate to the grief-stricken parents. Changing the subject, on behalf of my ecstatic neighbors, I also need to thank the city maintenance crew for planting 2 trees in their front yard in the city easement, and to replace the previous damaged tree, the previous damaged tree, which the city removed about 4 or 5 years ago. I want to thank the mayor for helping on that. I'm especially grateful to Raul Alvarado, the deputy public service director, who noticed the city tree in front of my house needs to be removed due to several safety issues, and has started the process to take away the problem tree and replace it with the new tree. So again, thank you for that. And like I said, I'm going to talk about the other issue the next time. But one thing really bothers me that I have to get out right now, and that is the mayor pro tem. When he said that he is a councilman, the pro temp, when he's sitting here on the dais, but when he's outside, he's a resident. Well, I'm sorry, you took an oath. When you got elected, you took an oath. You're councilman, you're the pro temp 24 hours a day, just like a policeman is. He doesn't just do his 10, 12 hours a day and then walk home and forget about law and order. He's a cop 24 hours a day. You're our mayor pro temp 24 hours a day. And for you to say something as arrogant to that, I'm ashamed. I'm almost the opposite difference of the poor lady that came up 3 persons ago. But I'll get into that more on my next, meeting. Then a couple other things. I don't know if you guys already did stuff regarding, you guys were talking about the shopping carts and about fining stores if they don't pick them up. I think you guys need to look at the way Aldi does their things, where you put a quarter into the cart, and it gets, when you return it, you get your quarter back, and there is nothing in the parking lot, and they're hard to be stolen. Also, I think that we need to take care of the homeless people that are stealing the carts and start charging them. Thanks. My time's up.
Thank you.
Brian Gutierrez, followed by Bill Robinson, followed by Bill Elliott.
Before I begin, I would like to also welcome Mr. Andrew Salas, the tribal chairperson from the Gambrino Band of Mission Indians of the tribal government Quiche Nation, which I know is recognized by the state of California and the federal government as a recognized tribe. Good evening, Mayor Diaz, Council Members Rue, Councilwoman Leti Lopez Fiado, Council Members Oli Cantos. I am here today to express my sharp disappointment in Brian Tabay for putting the taxpayers of West Covina in danger of litigation. Our city's 100th centennial celebration, Tabay broke city protocols and demanded that under his sole authority, the rules and regulations be changed. Some city staff decided that one vote was enough to change city regulations. Something that this over and over again that the treasurer's report has recommended that one vote is not enough. Mr. Tabay has continued to disregard regulations and protocol, and he should resign from his position as mayor pro tem and stop lying to the voters of West Covina, especially in District 1. When you make the allegation that somehow this majority was going to remove you as mayor pro tem or not appoint you, do you come up with other scenarios that if they wanted to be evil like that, do you understand they could have done that right before Orty was sworn in? That they could have done that with Dario before he was termed out? They could have removed you. They could have not appointed you as mayor pro tem, but their hearts continue to do so. So making allegations to the voters of lies is just wrong. I'm also disappointed that in Americans with Disability Act area I've been told that I cannot sit in an area that's been labeled as protected under the Americans with Disability Act by city staff. And Tabay, since you're an advocate of people with disabilities, and you speak about people with disabilities, I'll call on you to ask for an independent investigation to find out why the city is not honoring and enforcing the ADA law in the city of West Covina, especially in this chamber. And so I commend the tribal leader who came today. If you look at the last meeting, you saw Tabay diminish and tell his other colleagues they were horrible people. But then today, after tribal leader Salas spoke, you said the opposite of their tribal nation. And so, just so if you don't know, but a federal recognized tribe is an American Indian or Alaskan Native tribal entity that is recognized by having a government-to-government relationship with the United States, with the responsibilities, powers, limitations, and obligations attached to that designation, and is eligible for funding and services from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Furthermore, federally recognized tribes are recognized as possessing certain inherent rights of self-government, tribal sovereignty, and entitled to receive certain federal benefits, services, and protections because of their special relationship with the United States. Most of today's 573 federally recognized tribes receive federal recognition status through treaties, acts of Congress, presidential executive orders, or part of 83 administrative recognition process. State-recognized tribes are Native American Indian tribes, nations, and heritage groups that have been recognized by a process of established under associated state laws by varying the purpose. Many states have passed legislation to recognize some tribes and acknowledge the self-determination and continuity of historic ethnic groups. The majority of these groups are located throughout the United States. So it is a disappointment that you will ask the city of West Covina, order city staff to break protocol and designate land to a group that has not been federally or state recognized, including by our local supervisor, Hilda Solis. And so I ask the city council to continue in their fair and continuous investigation to get to the bottom of this. And also to investigate my complaint that the ADA regulations are not being followed in this chamber. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Bill Robinson, followed by Bill Elliott, followed by Jamie Rocha.
Good evening. The official media won't talk much about the subject I'm going to talk about, but anyway, you guys need to know nothing's too good for our city council. So here's my March briefing for the West Covina Health Department. The U.S. District Judge Federal Troncalli is deliberating in Beaumont, Texas, on a case. The attorneys for a whistleblower, Brooke Jackson, is alleging violation by Ventavia, which is a subcontractor of Pfizer, and Pfizer, and the allegation that the Vax clinical trials were fraudulent. This case is being brought under for an alleged violation of the False Claims Act. If the case survives a motion to dismiss, the trial is set for 2024 and discovery will commence. Also, I wanted to let you know about Naomi Wolf has a book that's coming out right away. You could check the Daily Clout /shop website. And that's the title of the book is Pfizer Documents Analysis Reports. It's based on a project. 3,250 volunteers took a look at 450,000 pages of Pfizer data. The FDA should know about all this stuff, but those volunteers did a lot of research, and they put together this book I talked about. The title is Pfizer Documents Analysis Reports. 500 pages. It's quite a project, and maybe this Beaumont, Texas case and that book. My hope is that it puts Pfizer into bankruptcy. I wouldn't give you a nickel for Pfizer shot. I'm glad I'm not a stockholder. But anyway, that's news that's coming out. Anyway, I've done a lot of research in the last 12 months, and all-cause mortality comparisons and causal impact analysis following COVID-19 vaccination clearly show age-standardized mortality rates for deaths involving coronavirus for the unvaccinated have been consistently lower for all the months since September 18 months ago. For people who had not received experimental gene therapy inoculations. The results of this study taken together demonstrate a product that directly causes more COVID-19 associated cases and deaths than otherwise would have existed with zero vaccines. Consequently, these experimental gene therapy injections known as COVID-19 vaccines cannot be mandated by any public policy that intends to continue following the regulations, the informed consent policies of the Nuremberg Code of 1949 and the ethics of biomedical research. I'm referring to the Brooke Jackson, the whistleblower. Anyway, the violation of the Helsinki Accords and the Declaration of Helsinki ethical principles for medical research involving human subjects. COVID-19 vaccine caused more side effects than any other vaccine. After I dived into the data and find out that vaccinated people can and do spread COVID, even if you're vaccinated, not only COVID, but other unwanted side effects, not only those that spike proteins produce, but messenger RNA and nanoparticles do as well, and the damage that messenger RNA vaccines do to human DNA.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Bill Elliott, followed by Jamie Rocha.
Peggy Martinez got up here and talked about haters. Biggest hate group in West Covina is West Covina Forum, which the mayor pro tem is a member of, and the chief hater over here, Jay Meters, in the audience. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Diaz and City Council. My name is Bill Elliott. I am the first gentleman in West Covina. Thank you very much. Tonight, I take great pride in addressing what is virtually the only conservative City Council majority left in the county of 11 million people. You have so much to be proud of. Lion Brian, not so much. At the Centennial Festival, I witnessed Mrs. Tabatalai interject her unsolicited opinion into discussion between council members. Apparently, she has sway. Again, she has sway. Lion Brian was the only no vote opposing flock cameras and the only no vote opposing the replacement of 10 police officers we lost through attrition. He has total disregard for public safety, and those collagen-filled lips of his have never once uttered a retraction of his desire to defund our police. That's very low bar even for a morally bankrupt and reprehensible socialist like Tabatalai. His family immigrated here from Iran in 1978, voraciously consuming America's milk and honey like locusts while teaching him to hate America. They did a good job, too. This known Marxist, communist, is obsessed with critical race theory, and his deep hatred of white people violates the core values of this community. He certainly learned how to pronounce abuela and taco very well. But enough of the masquerade. I look forward to the reversal of his razor-thin election in 2024 because this dangerous fool has no place serving on this city council. He's a disgraceful bigot and should resign tonight. The people of the 1st District deserve better. I first stood at this podium 10 years ago, establishing myself as a community leader and the local icon of the Second Amendment. I have tirelessly advocated for the fundamental right of self-protection, which is a natural right and a human right and a civil right. These are not gifts granted to us by the government, but by the grace of Almighty God. And much to the chagrin of my critics, the recent Bruin decision by SCOTUS agrees with me. My efforts have not been measured merely by days, but by a decade. And I just love a story with a happy ending. This historically corrupt system of concealed carry, embraced and perpetrated by arrogant little tyrants like John Disselrath, Frank Wills, David Faulkner, and Mark Taylor, those days are over. Once powerful men with unfettered authority now seem little more than neutered and toothless dogs. Without exception, every single former police chief in the city of West Covina abused their discretion for decades, and their collective legacy of injustice is now but a stain upon this city. This council now has a mandate to require city managers to only consider future candidates for police chief who are committed to it, respecting settled law, without qualification or reservation of any kind. Jacked up fees, psychiatric evaluations, and other illegal mandates are a transparent attempt to obstruct the law by the very people who are trusted and sworn to uphold it. The sheriff has issued over 5,000 CCWs, and even Little Glendora up here has issued dozens already. To my knowledge, West Covina has issued 0 so far. They inexplicably dragged their feet for 5.5 months after the ruling without so much as a whisper about it. When I inquired about the delay, indignant excuses were given. We have to see what the legislature says first. We've never really done this before. When they really mean, shut up, you peons, we'll tell you when. This is not leadership. Thank God for that the proverbial shoe is now on the other foot. We need to look at other cities of similar size, like Burbank, who established their own police commission providing civilian oversight long ago. Cops are famous for saying, if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear. Perhaps now the same standard will apply to them. After authority for issuing CCWs was returned to the police chiefs by the sheriff, in your face, David Faulkner, fees immediately skyrocketed to over $1,000, doubling the county fee. These illegal measures are precisely what Justice Thomas warned us about. I submit to you the Explorer program and the Citizens Academy consume valuable resources and are not constitutional rights, and those programs should be abolished immediately in favor of laws that are. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Jamie Rocha.
I know you're probably sick of seeing my face, but oh well. Actually, I was not planning to be here today. I was at work, and literally we got here in 15 minutes from El Sereno. So, but once again, my name is Jamie Rocha. I'm the council member of the Gabalino Shoshone Tribal Council, Southern California, and I do have my colleague. I'm going to have him introduce himself.
Skogdash. My name is Shannon Rivers. I am a member of a federally recognized tribe in Arizona. I'm the director of a program here in Los Angeles County. I also work on the board of Los Angeles County for American Indians and Alaska Natives United Community Service Group. I'm also a chaplain for Native Americans incarcerated in both CDCR and Arizona Department of Corrections.
Thank you. Like I said, I was not planning to come in tonight. I do have a couple of issues, and I want to stay on those issues. But first of all, I just really want to call on the city council again. I'm not coming from a place of hate. I'm coming from a place of education. Please don't get that confused. First of all, I want to call on the council. I know you saw a little bit of craziness tonight. A kind of insight of what many tribal groups go through. You know, you have different groups and stuff like that, even though I am related, the Salases are my cousins. But I'm coming from a place where a responsibility of to consult all tribal groups, the Quiche are valid, and so those other groups here. And especially as someone who comes from a group who may not be on any websites, but we have decades upon decades upon decades, if not thousands of years of my history here, to the point where my family is buried at the San Gabriel Mission, where I have direct ties to. So I not only give my love to them, even though I identify as Gabalino Shoshone and they identify as Quiche, we got to remember our nation is huge. We come from Catalina Island all the way to the mountains. So we're not going to agree on a monolith name. You know what I mean? We're not going to agree. A lot of us identify by our villages or by our names. But I just want to give on a call of responsibility to not only listen to the Quiche as you should, give them their consultation because they are our relatives and they are related, but to consult with all tribal governments. And I know our nation, and I say our nation, that includes all my groups, and I know they were upset that I mentioned them, but I see them as they are our relatives. So we got to remember that. Also too, coming in after last meeting's craziness and, having the community that come out for. The one thing that did bother me, besides obvious, we were all there, that at the end of the meeting, when everyone was left, because I know everyone was tired, I had work the next morning. I'm sure you guys have, especially Brian as a teacher too, that Mayor Diaz, said that the real reason why you didn't really want to do the land acknowledgement because you didn't want to say this was on stolen land. First in the meeting, you said it was a communication problem. Then you said that you weren't informed, even though it was confirmed to me that none of the city council had any part or say in the planning of that event. I went through the proper channels with the city manager and with the city assistant manager, the wonderful Roxanne Lemer. And then to say kind of using that power to influence over just a simple land acknowledgement. Something that was coming from a place of love. Something that was coming from, as someone, a lifelong resident of West Covina, was coming from trying to be a proud citizen of West Covina. And after that night, I'm going to say, I was not really feeling proud. As someone who not only was here during my whole life, went through California Elementary, Sierra Vista, Edgewood Middle School, and we graduated from West Covina High School in 2003. But as an Indigenous woman, and yes, you're going to hear a bunch of stuff, but I know my roots. I know where it came from. I know what my grandmother fought for. My grandmother fought for through death threats. People were out to murder her because she was an Indigenous woman, not only an Indigenous woman, but an Indigenous woman in authority. And a lot of people were not going to like that. So, you know, you heard a lot from my relatives today, you know, and as she should, we are related. But I just want to call in not only to really watch your words in their meeting, because you didn't want to say it was on stolen land, but that's not opinion. It's fact. And even though I helped suggest a land acknowledgement that night, no words said unstolen in there, so I didn't know really what the problem was. So, yeah, just want to say.
No further speaker cards, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, City Manager, may you please respond to the public comments concerns? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the public. I'll try to just briefly respond to some of the comments that were offered tonight, contribute where I can. Angie Gillingham referred to a resolution Council approved at the last meeting, which declared 2 properties as surplus and some other ones as exempt under the Surplus Land Act. I think her point was that some of those parcels are containing of environmental restrictions and covenants, and those restrictions and covenants will be respected and honored should development proposals come in. I want to make sure that that's clear. We're not there yet. That's many steps away, but the city will respect those regulations. Mike Greenspan talked about several things. I picked up on Easter. Just wanted to mention the city's going to have its egg extravaganza, the Easter event, partnering again with the Kiwanis on April the 1st. Herman talked about a number of things. We always respect his 5 minutes of free speech. We always respect his 5 minutes of free speech. I would hope everyone would respect my speech. Peggy Martinez, thank you for advocating for respect in these chambers. Daryl Spivey, I will follow up on your concerns about code enforcement and police matters, including illegal businesses, traffic enforcement, and the maintenance that needs attention with some trash activities. Jim Grivich asked about the status of that ordinance for second reading. I'm reliably informed that that'll be on your next agenda. It'll come back as a second reading with the revised language that you directed. David Schwartz, thank you for the compliment to our fire department. I share those compliments. I thought our first responders did an amazing job in a very difficult and tragic circumstance. And also thank you for the kudos to staff for the follow-up from the last meeting about the trees and the sign and the maintenance needs. Mr. Robinson talked about health issues. I always encourage people to just get their medical advice from a doctor. Brian Gutierrez, I will follow up on the concerns about the ADA. We take seriously our obligations under the Americans with Disability Act, and I will look into the concerns about access to these chambers. Mr. Elliott mentioned several things, including concealed carry. I would mention, I think the council is aware, the city is accepting applications for concealed carry licenses on its website in the police department. Those applications are now being processed. As I recall, we've got about 100 or so in process right now. Jamie Rocha talked again about some of these issues of AB 52 and the tribal cultural resources. That's where the city gets its direction under state law, under CEQA. The city, as lead agency, when it considers development proposals, gets its direction and will consult with the California Native American tribes as required under those rules. And I think that's all I've got this evening in response to public comments.
Councilwoman.
Sorry. Thank you, City Manager. I'm just going to take one thing off your plate for the gentleman here. I'm going to put our two that's on blast, our code enforcement managers up here and our police captain. So if you'd like to speak to them and maybe hopefully resolve that. So that's one less thing off your plate to follow up. So thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. You're welcome. His info? Okay.
Can we move on to city manager's report?
Thanks again, Mayor. I know you've got some agenda business to get to tonight, so I'll try and be really brief with the manager's report tonight. First, I just wanted to proudly announce that our annual police department annual booklet, annual review, is available. It provides a glimpse of what the department achieved in the previous year. It talks about the department functions and its services. We hope that everyone will enjoy it. It's available on the city police department website under annual review. And it talks about not only accomplishments, but what are the strategic priorities for the coming year. It's a really well done document, and I am much appreciative for all the work that went into it. I wanted to again remind that we have a home buyer assistance program that's up and running now. There are some housing developments in town that are offering this program: Asteria by Lennar, Vincent Place by Meritage, West Cameron 2 by Meritage, the Grove at Merced by RC Homes. It's really designed and set up to help first-time home buyers that want to purchase a home. I would encourage people to look into it and to try to take advantage of it. It's a path forward for a lot of people that otherwise won't be able to get into ownership of a house, and I'm really proud of this program. I wanted to mention there's a picture of the roof of our dispatch center, not something we look at or think about very often, but the roof's been leaking there for some time. Today, the roof was completely cleaned off and passed its inspection, and we're going to get it re-roofed. Hopefully right away. We know we're dodging raindrops to get it done this week, but this is a big one for us, and we're proud of it. We put in place, I see our traffic engineering division is here tonight. Thank you, Jana. A new system for processing citizen requests for traffic review. We've gotten a lot of these, and it's gotten a little chaotic. I think the antidote for chaos is a protocol, and so we have a protocol now. If residents inform us about a concern, they can have a fillable form, or they can email us, and then there'll be an administrative review of those, and then they'll go to consideration by the traffic engineer, and then be adopted as appropriate. But we put in place that system because we've been getting so many of these. It's been a bit overwhelming. We think this is a tool that'll help us be more efficient in those. I wanted to make mention of the fact that we're going to have a community meeting regarding the Citrus Street at Cameron intersection. This has been one that last time was in front of council met the state requirements. It was warranted to install a new signal, and it wasn't about finding the money. It was about finding community acceptance of it. So this time we wanted to go out to the public and invite them to come to the senior center on March 29th at 6 o'clock and share their comments and to ask questions of the traffic engineering staff. We know it's a problem, and we've got some solutions in mind. We hope people will come and listen to those and offer their opinions in a one-on-one setting, a more informal setting than these meetings. We've got a Citizens Academy coming up for the West Covina Police Department. There are some application requirements. It's a 10-week free program. We hope people can take a look at that. If they're interested and available, apply and commit to coming to our training regimen, and then become more active in community policing and community safety issues. We've been doing a number of community meetings. This next one was requested recently, and we're going to have an overview of our fire department. The fire chief will be here. I'll be here as well, March 19th from 6 to 8 p.m., just to talk about standards of coverage, to talk about resources, and I think it'll be an in-depth conversation. I said the wrong date. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. March 15th. And wanted to make mention of a couple upcoming events: a landscape workshop on Saturday, March the 11th, and in cooperation with the Rotary Club, a shoe drive. I think that's all I've got this evening. Thank you very much.
Councilman Wu.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I think City Manager, you forgot to announce one big achievement. Sportplex. Can you share with us?
Through the chair, thank you, Councilman Wu. We had said at one of these manager reports 2 or 3 meetings back that we were intending to be open by March. Well, now that March is here, I'm proud to tell you that we are open. and we've still got some work to do on 2 of the fields. The other ones are looking really good. And kudos to our crew who's done a lot of painting. They must have got some of that blue paint on sale because they sure use gallons of it. But it's up, and community groups are using the facility, and they can make application for facility use. And we would welcome all those people to take advantage of what is now, again, a really nice facility.
And really quick, I want to add on, okay, because I accidentally stopped by the Sportplex Saturday morning, and then I was thinking about just checking about the renovation, but I was shocked that the full of car parking in the parking lot and children coming out with a baseball bat. Okay, I went inside and I see game, okay, National League, okay, so do the tournament. So, and then the staff can walk me around, and then I see the beautiful facade, beautiful paint job, and it's magnificent. It's so beautiful, so gorgeous, and you see children are really happy playing the game. Okay, I know they're using the 4 right now, and Steve walked me around, told me another 2, okay, should be ready pretty soon. But I just have a request, okay, and I hope in the future city will give us information, okay, when we have this reopen, because I think a lot of residents want to know when it's going to be reopened, and I think this is good news. So they told me they reopen Saturday, okay, so it's the first day. So that's pretty good news, and hopefully announce to our public, any people maybe can book the place. I know Steve, the manager over there, told me the ESPN coming back, a lot of teams going to competition over there, and the weekday have our local league is going to practice. So it's going to have a full use of the place. Now, hopefully, we can lease out the restaurant. Okay, I think 2 restaurants over there maybe, okay, we can utilize for people provide the service, so the people over there can get food and drink. So I think this is a very good news. See the beautiful ballpark, and hopefully we can have a lot of people utilize. Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Contos.
Mr. City Manager, I was just wondering, just 2 questions. One, with regard to the field usage policy that Assistant City Manager Lirma talked about last time, where there would be an opportunity for community input. Can you provide us with the status of that, including as it relates to the Sportsplex?
Absolutely. Through the chair, if I may, to address Councilman Contos's questions regarding facility use policy as well as park use policy. As indicated, we're still going to start off with our Community Senior Services Commission. So it may take a few meetings in order to push that along. But we do, those are public meetings. They are open to the public, and we do provide our commissions with the first opportunity to provide feedback as far as any policies are concerned. Doesn't mean that they're making approvals. Ultimately that's subject to the city council. But you do appoint your commissioners, and those commissioners have a role in providing feedback and input. And then of course, also with our sports leagues. So we do have the Sports Council, which is made up of the various youth leagues that represent the city of West Covina and provide the sports services for the youth in our community. So those would be the 2 bodies before, again, just more of a getting that feedback and getting their input before it comes to the city council.
Thank you so much, Madam Assistant City Manager. And to the City Manager, the other question unrelated to the first is with regard to the Homeowners Assistance Program. For those who may be watching this or may not know about that, can you briefly just describe what that entails so that people can understand how they can, what is the benefit of participation in that program as they look to buy new homes?
Through the chair, the Homebuyer Assistance Program offers grants, $15,000 to $20,000, which could help someone with a down payment assistance. It's set up to help first-time home buyers that want to get in the door. It's a way to get in the door without breaking the door down, but they can take advantage of this program, which was brought as a condition these project approvals, and the developers were only too happy to do it because they recognize that this is a key market for them. But preference is provided to existing West Covina residents and or lower and moderate income families and individuals. I really hope that they can go on our website and learn some of the details that are available there. These are starter homes. Starter homes that come with a pretty big price tag, some $590,000 or $600,000. But in today's market, in today's housing world, I think that's a good value. And nothing saying somebody buys one of these homes, they'd have to live there forever, but it might be a way in and to build equity. So I really encourage people, if they're even thinking about it, to just take a look and to give it a careful scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Leti Lopez.
Thank you. Actually, those grants I remember here in the council, we fought for those developers to give more, and so that it could help our residents. So I'm glad that is pulling through, and it's a good amount, though housing is still pretty high. But the landscape flyer, the landscape workshop, I think that's the first time I've seen that. I didn't see the full details, but wanting to know, are they giving away, and I can't read the full details of that, but are they giving out like tolerant plants or trees or anything so that the residents can take home and to make that workshop a reality?
The landscape workshop is educational. I don't believe they're going to be giving away plants. I'll have to confirm that, and maybe I could persuade people that they would like to do that. But it's intended to cover what we as Californians need to know about the drought. It might be over for the next 10 minutes because we've been getting some rain. But what we can do as residents to re-landscape our grounds with these xeriscape techniques that'll help our state long-term reach a more sustainable way of life for water security. This is the first workshop, Saturday, March the 11th. There'll be another one on May the 6th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It'll be at the Cortez Park and Community Center. And I'm going to try and come because I need to do some of this at my own home. And I would encourage others to come as well if they're interested and available.
And they're not doing that virtually. They have to come in person.
You have to come.
Next time we should have them distribute certain things, because normally when residents come to these workshops, they also take away to actually produce especially drought-tolerant plants. So
I hear you. Let me work on that, see if we can't make that happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, no more. You have another.
Really quick, how many first-time home buyer or our local resident for the down payment assistance program, and got the grant? Because I know on the Meritage home they sold 40, and the now home they sold maybe 37. So altogether it's about 77 properties. So how many get the first-time home buyer or assistant down payment program? Do you have a number for that?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I don't remember off the top of my head. I believe it's 12 for Asteria Lennar and something like 15 for the Vincent Place. And they have different conditions, so it's a different number of units and different monetary funds that have to be applied towards that program. So 15,000 to 20,000, and we can provide which program or which development gets which type of assistance.
So basically, because this is a condition that the developer agree upon, so we want to make sure they keep their end of bargain. Will provide the down payment assistance program. So we want city to monitor, make sure they do their bargain and to give our home buyer to have that grant.
Yeah, so we have the guidelines of the program, and one of the things is that the developer has to provide a phasing for the project, which includes all of the phasing. So, for example, the Vincent Place has 120 units. So for each phase that they complete, they have to provide the number of units that are going to be part of the HAP program, or the Homeowners Assistance Program, what we're dubbing the HAP program.
Got it. So we are monitoring, make sure they provide the down payment assistance program to our home buyer.
Correct. We don't want them to finish the development and have all of the HAP units left over. So it's as the phases are being constructed, they're to provide those units throughout.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Great question, Councilman Wu. So, because I know when I went and saw the Asteria by Lennar, so they have a set aside that are qualified for the HAP. I know this is for first-time homebuyers. So, is there a mechanism in place to make sure that those units are only kept for the first-time homebuyers? Because I can see a scenario where people who are not a first-time homebuyers but can only afford those units would want to buy them, and then we wouldn't have units left over for this grant program. So is there a mechanism that says once they've sold, right, a certain amount of units that they have to keep let's say it was 12, those 12 units for only people who qualify for the grant? Because I could imagine they sell and then maybe you're only left with 7 of those units available for first-time home buyers, right? Mm-hmm. So do we have a mechanism in place to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, so before they even sell any of the homes, they're to provide us with a phasing, and within each phasing, the number of units. And if they can't meet it per each phase, then our staff is working with them and seeing what are the issues, why are they not qualifying, because we also don't want them to stop from selling those projects, but we also don't want to not provide those units for our HAP program. So we are trying to work with them in allowing the homes to continue to sell, but also ensuring that those units are met by the end of the project, by the end of the completion of the project.
Okay, so might there be a scenario then where the different units that maybe initially weren't available for the HAP program could then become available? Because I know there's these certain starter units that they said these are the HAP units, but like I said, as they're selling, and like you said, we don't want to hold them from selling just to wait for first-time homebuyers. Is that something we're thinking of?
The HAP program doesn't designate the unit or model type that has to be applied towards the HAP program. The developers are using it predominantly for the entry-level units right now, but they're not required to. So it can be applied to any unit or model within those developments.
Okay.
So there is flexibility within the program to ensure that we are providing the grant to a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, can we make sure that, because when I spoke with Lennar, they seemed like it was very restricted and it was these certain units. And so I can see us running out of those units for the amount of grants we have available. So if the developers, if we can make sure to make that clear, hey, we've set aside 12. If you run out of the units that you're kind of pointing to, we still need to make available 12.
We'll reiterate that to them. But
thank you.
Okay, let's move on to consent calendar. Does anyone want to pull anything?
Madam Mayor?
Yes?
Number 5, please.
I was going to say the same thing. Okay, number 5.
Okay.
Since Jenna is over here, right? So you don't mind I put the number 4 so you can explain to the to the resident about this new system. I think it needs some explanation. I'm interested to using that system to fill it up. Okay, so I put number 4.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve all but 5 and 4?
I'll motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Lopez Viado and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai to approve consent items 1 through 3. Councilman Wu pulling item number 4, adoption of citizen request policy for traffic reviews, and Councilman Contos, Councilwoman Lopez Viado pulling item number 5, consideration of adoption and promulgation. Thank you. Promulgation of updated city emergency operations plan. Councilman Contos.
Aye.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai.
Aye.
Mayor Diaz.
Aye. Okay. Councilman. Oh, you're
Item number 4.
Councilman Wu.
Adoption
Mayor.
of citizen
Okay, and,
request policy for traffic reviews.
Yep. Okay, I don't want to waste your time to drive over here, so I think it's to you to get some exercise to explain to us regarding the new system, and then I think that would be great to very educational for us. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, councilors, Mayor Pro Tem. This is pretty much what we're doing already, so we're just defining it as a policy so that residents know when they call us with requests, this is kind of the process we're going through. So first of all, we get a lot of requests at someone saying, and we understand it, speeding on my neighborhood, I want speed bumps. But that's like the very first thing they come out with instead of doing some more initial review first. So, and those are very expensive items. And as you know, we also have another item that's coming. We have another 15 we're trying to get through to get constructed. We have one right now that has 19. So, and the city's big and residents are very conscious of what's going on. So we have, as the city manager indicated, we have a lot of requests. So we're kind of just, first of all, the first thing we do, we always look at collisions to make sure what we're looking at, and that has priority if there's something that has higher collision rates than something else. So then, you know, we would contact the police department. Maybe they can do some spot enforcement. They have a speed trailer. We do some of that first, see if that works, and then we go to the next level. And then we're also... We're going to be putting it on the website. So part of our thing that was in there is how to find it on the website, like a form now. And then also, if it passes through level 1, we call it, goes to level 2 or 3, we would like to have more neighborhood buy-in. So it's not just one person requesting some big item. We'd like to know that the rest of the neighbors also feel there's an issue, so that it's more community involvement. So we've just kind of outlined that. And then part of our process, we're going to be putting in, we have like little brochures that people can look at that shows like, where do we put a crossing guard, or what qualifies for an all-way stop or a speed hump. There are rules that we follow, engineering rules. And so now it just puts it out there so the residents can be more informed. And then, so it's not like all of a sudden they're just telling us no. It's like we have to follow these guidelines because it protects the city, protects the residents, and that issue. So, and then Brian can quickly go over how to find.
Yes, so all the information will be available on the city's website under community development and further engineering, and it'll have its own tab similar to on the website now where there's informational stuff such as I believe there's a page on drought tolerance and different things like that. So this will be a sub-page of the engineering page on the city website.
And I believe we still have to do a QA, kind of make sure all of our text and everything's correct, but it will be up really soon. This next week, we should have it up and running, and people can go and find that. And then they can also still email us how they normally do, call engineering, or they email us and we try to get back to them and say, hey, we got your request. So it's in the queue. Any questions?
Councilman Wu?
Okay, really quick. So basically, with the new systems, okay, you can go to a website, okay, our city website. So hopefully we get an update one so we can easily find the location so they can click and then the phone will come out so they just fill it up. Am I right?
It's a form.
Yeah.
It's one, I think it was in the agenda packet.
On the website, how people just go into, okay, and tie it up to about the problem they're concerned. Yes. Okay, the curb, they need to be red, or some issue stop sign. Okay, a lot of people talk about either stop sign or the curb on the red. People park over there, they cannot see it. It's a pretty kind of dangerous for them. That's what they ask. Okay, and number 3, you say flyer. flyer is how they can print it up from the flyer on the website, or they have to go to the city to get a flyer.
Oh no, everything's on the website.
So website has a flyer, so
everything has a little request.
Got it.
Request form.
Got
They
it.
can print out and they can just email us.
Got it.
Or if they're not, they can still go the regular way.
Yeah.
Make it a phone call, coming to the desk at engineering.
For the
We will get your request.
For the senior kind of email, very difficult. I try. Okay, they say nope. Okay, phone only. And not even the cell phone, okay, the landline. So that is some issue, and they home all the time, or they walk on the street and they have some issue. So got it. So they can call you guys.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Okay, and
Through
so
engineering.
yeah, website.
And our other staff is there, so they'll take their phone call, get their phone number, their name, what their problem is, and then we take it from there. So
Last question. Okay, can this combine with our West Covina app? Because a lot of people use the West Covina app to report issue. So if they report issue, I remember they have one traffic. So can they traffic and link into this site? Is that possible? Can talk to the
Through the chair, if I can look into that, this app seems to have a pretty open architecture and it does a lot of things for us. But let me look into that.
Because we try to promote the West Covina app to report the graffiti, the shopping cart. Since we have a shopping cart, Odin is coming up. So, okay, and all the issue, tree issue, this and that. So if people can get used to it, okay, the West Covina app, so they one app doing everything and a connect link into the site. So hopefully that would be convenient. Otherwise, easier. Otherwise, they have to remember, go to city site and try to go to the maze to find your page. And I think it's a lot of times kind of they just forget it, they just give up. So hopefully we can provide a little bit more convenience, okay, for them to use. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Leti Lopez Villaro.
Thank you. And the app is a good idea to put all in one. But in reference to the citizen requests, the petition that they need the neighbors to do a buy-in, is there a minimum requirement of signatures for that? I know that there's 16 lines.
Yeah, that's after if it goes to level 3 and they want the more, the speed humps or the flashing beacons, the more expensive things, we want to make sure that there's more than one person. And we do have 67% of the residents that live on that block, just the one block or around the area, So.
But is there a minimum requirement of signature that they have to get this page to be signed? Is it just, how many do they have to get?
We're saying 67% of the neighbors who live on your block.
But how would they know?
Well, I mean,
they don't know how many
people. If it gets
people.
to that point, the city is going to help them.
Oh, okay.
Because it's going to go to level 2 or level 3. So we've already tried some of the cheaper or the less expensive and more, standard options, and they are not working. So now we're moving to the next level. So we're going to also have more communication with that resident.
Okay. Well, as long as you help those who are not computer savvy, that'd be great. I know I actually sent you a while back one of our elderly resident, which I have to follow up on some traffic collision on that area, but I'll send you an email on that one to follow up. Thank you.
Councilman Contos? No? Oh, okay. Well, what I do want to mention is I received another email from Mr. Ochoa, the one that lives on Garvey.
Yes.
Really bad accident again on Friday. So I think that we've tried everything. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, I was saying speed bumps, but I'm going to go ahead and forward that email to you. And
we got it also directly from him.
Okay, good.
So we are
okay,
in communication.
good.
So
okay,
we are. I think our next step is to have our engineers look at additional items. We have speed signs. We have flashing beacons. We have.
It looks like a Christmas tree out there.
So
it does. I mean, there's a lot of.
Can't control how people drive. We hope.
Right.
But,
oh yeah.
So
who
knows?
Sure.
So we'll look at other options. Now, speed humps, you said that, but we wouldn't want to put them on a curve because then it would just launch.
Right.
Yeah. So we may have to look at other options. So We are aware,
Okay,
and
thank you.
it's on our list.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone want to move to approve?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay.
I have a motion by Councilman Contos and a second by by Councilwoman Lopez Viado to approve item number 4, adoption of citizen request policy for traffic reviews. Councilman Contos?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai?
Aye.
Mayor Diaz? Item passes 5-0.
Okay. Okay, item number 5 wants to go. Councilman Cantos?
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask who put together this report, including among those on staff as well as consultants. Can you tell us?
May I answer?
Go ahead.
This is a case of many hands makes a light load. So we've got our fire chief here. He was a key player here, as was the command staff in the police department. I'd like to compliment especially Captain Cortina. And then much of the heavy lifting was done by a really important consultant to the city, Mr. Jim Sims, who's seated here in the audience. So it was a team effort, and we're really proud of this document. And thank you for pulling it off that we might highlight it. We've got a PowerPoint to show you. If you're that interested tonight, we'd be happy to do it. So I'm going to ask the fire chief in the lead, if that's okay.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council. Councilman Contos. To answer your question, I think City Manager answered it mostly, but yeah, it was a lot of hands, as well as our partners in the community, our disaster management partners, our community folks. We talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of hands were in this to make it a good emergency operation plan for us to be able to respond to an emergency and to mitigate it.
Thank you. That is really, I really appreciate you mentioning everybody. The reason why I wanted to ask is because it's a doggone amazing document. I just love it. It's really comprehensive. From an operational standpoint, it addresses a number of issues. And as far as I'm concerned, looking at that, it's a model that other people and other cities would do well to follow. It's really a wonderful team effort. And there was one item there that talked about those with accessibility and functional needs. And so the one thing I'd like to ask is what is it that is the plan a little bit more specifically to identify those who might have accessibility or functional needs, so that if there's an earthquake or other emergency, we'll know to go in and find them and identify them, so that way it can minimize the possibilities of injury or loss of life?
Very good question, Councilman Contos. And related to this document, other documents that will be coming with this, there's other annexes that come with this. This one is going to be our emergency plan to respond to mitigate the disaster. There's other plans that help us prepare for the emergency, plan for an emergency, and how we're going to recover from the emergency. So those questions to identify those prior to an emergency will take place through plans in our other annexes.
Thank you. That's all I have. It's just really a wonderful plan. I was just really cheering for it. It was just absolutely, because I actually did emergency management in the past in a prior role, and I just thought that it was really, really well done. And my personal congratulations and commendation to everyone who was involved with writing it.
I know I'm standing up here, but city managers did mention it. But Mr. Sims did most of the heavy lifting and brought us all together. So I know I get to stand up here, but just want to acknowledge him again. And working with him was very inspirational too. He's very knowledgeable and helped us create a great plan and the future plans that are coming with it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Letty Lopez Viado?
Actually, I have a few questions to you. Okay, go ahead, Councilman. Make it quick. You're quick. I'm putting a timer right now and go.
Time. Okay, start. Okay, and I think this is something we need this for a long, long time. I think last time updates, 30, 40 years ago?
5 years.
Huh?
I read it on
35. Okay, I don't, I'm just trying
It's not as comprehensive.
I'm going to expend my time now. Okay, because you can say anything you want. But I think this is about 35 years? Okay, it's been a long time. Okay, I think this is something we because right now, a lot of things like earthquake, okay, they say it's going to happen, you just don't know when. So we really have to prepare. And the wildfires, the tree, the bushes, okay, a lot of issue. Like potentially create an issue. So we really need to prepare for our city to emergency, for all that kind of thing, for police and fire, for resident, for our staff, and including we as a representative for our resident, how we react. So I don't know. One quick question. So how we, based on this, and how we do exercise, okay, and make sure when the thing really happen, we can be there and we're ready. Maybe a consultant can come up to share some light with us quickly.
We're going to have some emergency operations center mock plans with you guys. We're going to work with that. We had to get a plan, have something to actually teach you in hand, everybody to go by, just to show you what the National Incident Management System and the standardized emergency management systems out there. We want to have a document you can have and teach you.
So basically, even as a city council, we all have to kind of understand the protocol. Okay, when, where, this and that, because people will come to us. People will come to us and say, "Hey, Tony, what should we do?" So how we can help them, and we have to learn from you how we call you guys and how you put the network
plan will do that. This plan, the extensive document shows exactly where everybody's role in the whole.
So my point is, beside the reading, how we exercise this thing in practice, and hopefully you can schedule that thing in the we can kind of understand, so we can get a couple of practice, and so we understand when the situation happen, how we react. Because right now, just based on what the state and the country say in California, it's about when. We don't know, but you will. Okay, so we need to prepare.
Correct. And the other annexes, like I spoke about, there will be a planning and preparing portion to that, which is what we do whenever there's an emergency. We plan, we prepare for it, we practice, and then we respond to it, and then we recover from it, mitigate it and recover from it. So all that we will do. Once we only get the emergency operation plan, because when it's going to happen is correct. We don't know.
Don't know.
So have this out first. We're going to mitigate the emergency. We're going to do it. But planning, preparing for it is our next.
Yeah, I guess exactly where we get help, how we get fuel, how we get water, how we put network, how we help each other. So the networking, how we make the thing. So each of the division, each of the area, we can have a kind of a headquarters, so we can get this to help people to kind of work together. I'm done. Okay. See, I'm quick.
Councilwoman.
Well, I'm going to be long. And so, no, this looks great. We have one with the City of Los Angeles as well, and it's very intensive, and we have put it to use with the recent COVID, transitioning our rec centers to homeless shelter sites temporarily. And we have to go through all these intensive trainings, all that NIMS and all that, and it's pretty long. And we do have a yearly full-on exercise program from like setting up certain locations and just the full work. So first question is, have you done a recent training?
We haven't done a full city extensive one because we're still trying to get everything
this work on.
the EOC going. We currently, our EOC is also the police briefing room. So we're working on those portions of all this. So we're going to adapt, improvise. We're going to overcome if there's any emergency, and we're all going to be prepared to do it. We're getting there. And we will have a extensive mock drill in the near future.
And that was my question on, do we have our own in-house emergency operations center?
We do. At the basement of the police department in the briefing room, we have all our equipment, the phones, satellite phones, everything, and all the buckets are all there. So if you ever want a tour, we can show you. But we're working to make it better to prepare for an emergency. But we do have it, yes.
Okay, I'd like to see that. And then are all our staff involved into this intensive training as well? In all departments or just police and fire? I know in recreation we are all involved.
Everybody's involved because everybody at the level of an emergency, when we respond to it, has to be prepared and know the plan. So everybody's involved and everybody has a role in it when we set it up.
Perfect. And then on page 37, it says City of West Covina encourages persons who may need assistance to register with NICSOL and Alert LA. Who puts this out and who assists with this? Because I don't think I've seen that out.
Things do go out, and like I say, that's part of to the question of Councilman Contos is in the preparation for an emergency. Is we do send out those things, and the NICSOL is ran by the police department, and they handle that.
No, I know those are sent out. I mean, if you are registered, then great, you get them. I get those NICSOL alerts as well. But is there a posting for residents to sign up so that they can put that out or to promote it out for residents to register for that?
At this time, like in the plan, in the staff report explains how that's stuff we want to get to. We want to get, that's part of our preparation and planning. We still need to build that stuff.
Okay, so there's still a lot of work
Yes, ma'am.
to this. Okay. And then, let's see. No, I think that's about it. I mean, there's still work to be done. But, I mean, that Nixle thing is really quick. If you just put something out, you just, text this, put that information, and that one can be done quick. So at least the residents and everybody else can get that information with them because things will come out. If we could get that one out, get that word out, that would be great. No, other than that, I think this is a great emergency operation plan, and it's detailed. So kudos. I know this involves a lot of hands. And especially when you go out to the level where you have to involve the Red Cross and everything else. But this looks great. So thank you, and you guys did a great job on this.
Madam Mayor, one supplementary in support of Councilwoman Lopez Viado. Can something be put together for Discover West Covina and other places so that way we will be able to distribute information about how people can sign up for Nixle?
Absolutely. We will work something with that.
Oh, great. And last question, Chief Capelli. We on the council are also employees here, so with the tabletop exercises and other things, are we going to be involved in those simulations as well, so that way we'll know what to do if an emergency strikes?
Yes, absolutely. When we have our mock drills and any planning preparation does involve you folks. You're a very important, integral part of our response to an emergency. So, of course, you'll have to be portions of it, part of it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Somebody want to move?
Active shooter. They invited us, so that was really great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Council.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Sure.
At this time, we actually, CERT's not fully built yet, but we've just started our, if you've been to Station 2, we have some trailers there. We're getting all our CERT stuff together, and there is a plan for this year to get our CERT program up and running, but don't really want to talk about it yet. We're not ready to rebuild it where we want it to be yet. So it is definitely
in the works.
Part of what we want to do.
Okay.
I just know that this
it's
a very intensive training, lots of hours to just sit on the computer even to process to get your certification to get to that next level.
Yeah, we're sending 4 members to be trainers, CERT trainers right now. So we got to get everything in line prior to start running that to get it back up. And it was robust before, and we have a lot of stuff. We've moved it over to Station 2 at the fire department from the city yard. And thanks to Public Works for helping us with all that. It's a lot of stuff. We're getting that going.
Quick question. So who's in charge of this, like the main person of this emergency? Like who's the lead?
Well, it depends on what level and how it goes. If it's a full-blown earthquake major emergency, then the city manager becomes the commander, and it develops. Anybody can activate it. Well, not anybody, but it activates at different levels depending where we're at in the emergency.
I think the mayor, you have to be in charge. Good luck.
She's the commander.
Thank you.
Really quick, okay. Chief, thank you so much, but I feel so bad for our consultant. Maybe you could come out quickly, say something. Since you're here, driving like 2 hours over here, so give you maybe 5 minutes.
Members of the council, I've done a lot of these. This one was a pleasure. We had great leadership. We had almost every department involved. We had Captain Cortina did a great job as a project manager. So as city manager said, there's a lot of hands on this project, and I'm also proud of the document. I think it's a good document, but it's a plan, and as mentioned earlier, it's a start. A lot of work yet to be done. Additional plans and training and exercises are critical. So again, I'm pleased to have been a part of it, and I appreciate the opportunity.
So basically, it's a doable plan, okay, that can be exercised, and our police and fire and our city leadership can react during the disasters and some kind of catastrophe or some issue happen, we can right away react.
Right. And also you learn a lot. You do the training, do your exercises, and you always learn something from that exercise. And you do an after-action report, and that circles back, and then maybe you need to do changes or additions to the plan based upon that exercise. So it's a circular process. You plan, you train, you exercise, you modify your plans, move forward.
Very good. I think in that way we can save life. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, somebody want to move to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Lopez Viado and a second by Councilman Contos to approve item number 5. Consideration of adoption and promulgation of an updated city emergency ordinance plan. Councilman Contos?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai?
Aye.
Mayor Diaz?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0, Mayor.
Okay, let's move on to public hearings. The matter set for public hearing is a development of a draft fiscal year 2023 to 2024 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Action Plan. Will the city clerk verify the proper legal notice has been given?
Proper legal notice has been given, Mayor.
Okay. At this time, I shall open the public hearing on the development of the draft fiscal year 2023 to 2024 CDBG Action Plan. There will first be a presentation of the staff report, then we shall hear the comments from the public.
Good evening. This hearing concerns the fiscal year 2023-2024 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Action Plan. The city receives an annual grant of CDBG funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The CDBG program works to ensure decent, affordable housing, to provide services to the most vulnerable in our communities, to create jobs through the expansion and retention of businesses. As a recipient of these funds, the city is required to prepare an annual action plan that guides the intended use of the grant funds. In recent years, the city's used the CDBG funds for such activities as a domestic violence victim advocate position in our police department, the senior meals program, business assistance loan program, housing preservation program, public infrastructure projects, and public services such as food banks, Meals on Wheels, and homeless services. This is the first of 2 required public hearings. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the needs of the community on which the draft action plan will be based. In April 2021, the City Council approved the 2020-2024 consolidated plan based on a prioritization of community needs. Amended in 2022, the current prioritization is shown in Table 1. There are 8 categories of need identified. There are economic development, homelessness, infrastructure improvements, owner-occupied housing, public facilities, and rental housing. And all these have been assigned a priority level of high. There are 2 additional categories of public services and non-homeless special needs, both assigned a priority level of medium. Now, the categories of need are more fully described in attachment number 1. For this purpose, the priority level doesn't relate to relative importance or urgency, but as to whether or not CDBG funds will be used to address the need. A high priority level means that CDBG funds will be used to address the need. Medium, maybe, and low will not be used to CDBG funds will not be used to expend or to address. Now, the needs and priority levels may be amended tonight or at any time with proper notice. With the approval of this item, staff will begin to draft the action plan and start the process of evaluating public service proposals and potential capital projects against the approved prioritization. And once the draft action plan is finalized, it'll be made available for a required 30-day public review period. Then it'll be presented along with proposed activities and funding recommendations to the City Council in a second public hearing. City Council may approve the staff's recommendation or provide an alternative direction. Notice for the hearing was published on February 24th, and no comments have been received. There's no fiscal impact resulting from this report, so it's recommended that the City Council direct staff to draft a fiscal year 2023-2024 action plan based on the 2020-2024 consolidated plan priorities as amended. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Does the council have any questions?
I do. Tonight I have tons of questions.
Councilwoman Letty Lopez Villaro.
Thank you,
Make
Mayor.
it quick.
So currently, I know the CDBG. We still keep the priorities are still expected, but does any of the CDBG currently qualify for emergency use? And the reason why I'm asking is because I know we had two tragedy fires, and the first one, it's an elderly woman, low income, who had her home burned. Of course, she survived, but and I sent out an email to see what the city can do. I know we have the American Red Cross, we have outside organization, but to rebuild, it costs a lot of money. And I know that there's permits fees, and was hoping that we could if there's a request I'd like to request for emergency usage to waive certain fees, but. Within these, for example, homeless or infrastructure improvements, rental housing, and of course it's owner-occupied housing, can they get CDBG for their needs, and what can those be offered?
At the current time, there is not an activity for that. That would require us to amend the action plan, set up the activity, and then fund it. That's something that we could do, certainly. We could bring that back.
I would love to have a CDBG fund for special usage in case of an emergency or an event that is not, just a tragedy event that they can assist our residents here. And I don't know how that qualify or classify and how that works.
The resident would have to qualify on an income basis, I believe.
I know that their income, obviously.
Right.
But I just wanted to know, at this moment, can this elderly person come, and currently what opportunities is she able to get with any of these CDBG programs?
Currently, we don't have a program identified or funded.
Okay.
We could research that, bring that back as an amendment to our plan.
And number two, with the homeless, allocation CDBG funds to public services that can address a portion of these needs, what do they receive? Or what does that provide? What
does CDBG fund to attend to homelessness currently? Yeah. There's a couple of public services that are funded. LACADA is funded in part, $60,000 this year, and then the San Gabriel Valley Coalition for the Homeless is also funded approximately $10,000 CDBG funds.
So we fund them, so the residents have to reach out to those organizations.
Yes.
Currently, can we provide all that information to those residents? We fund them anyways.
Certainly.
How our residents utilize those.
Absolutely.
Get that.
We have food banks also that we fund, and we have that information.
Yeah, if we can relay all this information to our residents in need, what our city can provide, as well as I know they get the external. Number 6, with rental housing, it says rental housing needs are addressed by the Section 8 Rental Assistance Program and the Affordable Housing Development funded by the CED Low and Moderate Income Housing Funds. I know the Section 8, there's no space. There's a long waiting list. They're not even taking anything. Can you elaborate on this CDBG program for the rental housing?
The priority was identified, and those are the sources that attend to it. CDBG, we don't have a program for that yet. We're currently researching to establish one with the COVID funds. that's what that was, I believe, from last year. That was an amendment from 2022 to make that a high priority, where it's been a low priority for a long time.
Okay. And then I know there's public service. Number 7, high priority was assigned to public service because CDBG funds can help to address the needs of the elderly, frail elderly, youth, and other low moderate income population. Can you expand on that? Of what we currently provide? I know it says public.
That's the public service category?
Yes.
We fund our senior meals in part through that, the domestic violence victim advocate, the San Gabriel Valley YWCA. They do case management and counseling of seniors. They have a person who does hours over at the senior center, as well as home visits and that sort of thing.
Okay.
We have our CareShip program, which is a child care subsidy program, and those are currently the ones that we fund.
Okay. Well, thanks for the reminder and the refresher, of course, because sometimes we forget. There's so many programs and so many things that occur.
Right.
I have no further questions.
Councilman Wu?
Yeah, I want to follow through Councilwoman Letty Lopez Viado regarding the emergency fund. Okay, for example, the city, do we have any fund for emergency for residents suddenly impacted by tragedy? Like, for example, the fire which just happened this weekend. Okay, and then we know we have a major tragedy for 1 unit. Okay, fatality for 3 person, and then we still have another 3 unit. Okay, they displaced. Okay, due to the fire. Okay, and then 1 is totally damaged, and I think 2 red tape and 2 yellow tape. Okay, so basically they cannot live there. So I know we have a GoFundMe. Okay, for the 1 unit for fatality, and we try to help as much as we can as a private citizen. But how about other unit resident? Do we have some kind of CDBG fund we can at least kind of help them? I know Red Cross is helping them, but they temporarily. Do we have a little bit long-term solution? Use the CDBG fund to maybe kind of pay for some of their, and hotel bill for the time being, for them to kind of have a chance to go back to their home, because it's a 4 unit. It's basically 4 family. Do we have anything that city can use CDBG fund? I know city maybe don't have any of the emergency, but do we have any of using CDBG for emergency purpose?
Again, presently there's not an activity or a funded activity for that. We would have to amend our plan, establish an activity, and fund it.
Can we
be able to do that? I can certainly research.
Yeah, would you please? Because right now we have an emergency going on right now. Okay, Dave, city manager, want to say something? Go ahead.
Thank you, if I may, through the chair. We've gotten involved immediately. We've had 2 of these fire incidents in the last couple of weeks. One involving a low-income lady who lived in a single-family home which she owned. Unfortunately, I don't want to put her business in the street, but I can attest to you all that we're working quite hard to try and garner resources. I was directly in communication with the main family member today to try and connect her with some resources. We have some programs available. You asked tonight, Council, if we could look into using CDBG as a way to get more, and we'll return with that. But there are other resources that we're going to try and help in both of these fire tragedies to connect to resources. The county has some resources. We've been in communication with the county offices. The Department of Business and Consumer Affairs has ability to offer tenants assistance and potentially connect them with housing services. The Department of Mental Health offers grief counseling services. There's food assistance available through a lot of community partners, and as was mentioned, private sector efforts to get them with assistance with GoFundMe. We also think that there might be some major monies available through the county's economic assistance program. We're working on all those things in both situations. One of the affected families really doesn't want their business in the street, and they want to remain private about it, and we're going to respect that. The other family is keenly interested in us helping in any way, and so we're going to continue to be aggressive. And just to repeat, as you directed, we'll return with a report about whether CDBG can also be used for some of this, because I think these things are always a package of monies, and if we can help piece things together, that would really be the way to go.
Yeah, and the worry I about, which when you mention so many of agency, but you know, a government bureaucracy, it will take forever. You need paperwork, this and that. So maybe we can using city much more efficient, use the CDBG fund. When we verify, we know the situation, we know the red tape, we know the yellow tape, we know they cannot go home, okay, and everything they're belonging inside the house. So while we can help them, okay, instantly, the timing. So rather than just waiting for application paperwork, it takes months. That I don't think the time they have. So my suggestion is, can we do something? Okay, look into the emergency fund, and then we can use CDBG and maybe make the paperwork later on to get approval. But at least we can have something we can use in that, okay, grant, okay, and to do something. This is going to happen. We don't want to do it, but maybe it will happen here, there, so at least we have something prepared. Make sense?
Through the chair, I hear you, Council, and we will return with the CDBG piece, and we'll try and connect to all these other resources as well on behalf of these families. I hear you, loud and clear.
Okay.
I have another.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. On a city level, when I'm talking about the city level, I talk about permit fees. And I believe in the past, they have waived permit fees for fire. If you can check on that, I believe they have done that so that it's not a burden for them. But that is something that I'd like to see, because as they want to move in as soon as possible. But fee waiver would be ideal on top of any other things we could provide. But I'd like for that to be looked into.
Through the chair, I hear you about that. It's important to me that whatever rebuild occurs, first meet code. We don't want to have a situation in West Covina like they've had in Turkey, where they have shoddy workmanship and buildings coming down in earthquakes and all the rest. So we have to have the process have integrity. It's not, in my mind, about the city revenue, especially because that's an aspect of city operations that seems to be performing really well for us. So a fee waiver, I think, is definitely in the cards. But my number one concern is whatever rebuilding occurs has to be under a licensed contractor, has to be under benefit of a permit, has to be inspected, has to be safe.
Of course, I mean that is priority. Safety is priority.
The fee waiver,
it's just,
I think that's something we can work through.
Those permit fees adds up in cost.
Certainly can.
So I don't want to burden any more than they already have to deal with.
I understand.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we're going to open it up for the public.
I have no speaker cards, Mayor.
Okay.
I would like to speak, please. I don't have a card.
You don't have a card, so
I turned in the card earlier, ma'am.
This was not on
this
the
is not the.
I'll turn the card after I'm done speaking. I wish to speak.
All right, go ahead.
Matter of fact, the Brown Act says I don't have to turn in a card as long as I acknowledge.
Are you going to speak? Are you going to speak?
So, regarding CDBG, where's the first district representative for this issue on public hearing regarding community development block grants? You know, these block grants should be given out right when you receive the budget, not in the middle and not towards the end, because people get fucked over. Let's just be honest about that. And there's a process in which you can fast track / red tape the fucking inspection by those permits and finish the goddamn fucking job. Instead of wasting the taxpayers of West Covina's time and wasting my fucking time to debate and revise and amend issues that you guys cannot get your shit together to fix the goddamn action plan. Is that the best way to say it? No, that is the action plan. that I say to do. Because if you really believe in yourself, you would do without the transparency what you've been doing in the past, behind closed doors, making these decisions. But now I'm demanding, I want transparency to see that these public services by these jackass departments, and I'll give you a hypothetical example. LA County Development Authority. You know how many fucking years I waited for a fucking loan? 2 years. 2 motherfucking years. And I had to go through a horrible process to drive my fucking white nigger ass to the point of stress and meltdown. All because some asshole, dickhead, told me that this does not belong here, this is not connected to this, and this doesn't fit in to what you're asking. Well, I said, well, motherfucker, would I add something that didn't belong to me to what I received? No. So Edison comes out, they put a brand new 1 line versus 3 lines to a piece of parcel that I own, and guess what? They fixed the fucking problem. No radios, please. They fixed the problem. Problem resolved. And how is that done? Constructive thinking. And that constructive thinking doesn't mean I get a permit to spend $3,000 to $5,000 to add 4 feet of a utility pole to a fucking old house built back in '62. No. So I saved that money, $3,000 to $5,000, because I'm a white nigger Jew that wants things done right and fixed. So when it comes to public grants, measures, and bonds, stop fucking over the public. When you're more truthful to facts, then you get out of the racketeering, bribery, and abuse of those funds. Because Tony Wu knows that for a fact, because that fucking asshole Chinese man from Building and Safety, Mr. Chan, crybaby attorney, cried he needs 60 days because he's sick. And he didn't want to tell the federal judge that he was fucking everybody in the ass with development in LA. That's another hypothetical problem with these permits and who you pass the money to, who gets the money back. Jose Huizar, $100,000 here, $100,000 there, casino, women, bitches, hoes, cunts, you name it. But all that money should be returned to the public. And I'm glad to know that that dickhead, Jose Luis Huizar, CD14 of Los Angeles, admitted that he's guilty for his crimes. RICO racketeering. And by the way, FBI, because you're good at listening to me when I speak, and you hear us out at 310-477-6565, we need to crash these smaller cities. Yes, we're going after the big fish, the big kahuna, Mitchell Englander, the little dwarf, fucking pig, reserve cop, said to me in Los Angeles, get the fuck out of my public safety meeting. And I said, 42 U.S.C. 1983, fuck you, Mitchell Englander. And now what did he do? Federal time and a federal penitentiary for the same racketeering shit with development, stealing public grants, stealing from the bonds, issuing it to developers. The developers are getting rich. The fucking councilmen are getting rich. Everyone's getting their greasy palms in a wallet padded. Fuck. Do it right. Make shit happen.
Okay, we're done.
One more.
That's it.
He got to speak. After all.
You came.
It's a public meeting. We were standing outside in the cold, and you're not going to give them a right to be heard?
Okay. After all, I've been.
City Attorney.
Yeah, to ask Mr. Herman to not disrupt the meeting and allow Mr. Greenspan to give us 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
After all, I've been following Mr. Herman on this roof thing for a couple years. Goes back to the previous supervisor when it was Hans' territory. Now came redistricting, and it's at Broad Hilda's. And guess what? That county has jerked Mr. Herman around terribly. After all, if there's a problem with the electrical, Mr. Herman's not a do-it-yourselfer, and even if he's a contractor, he's not an electrician. That's for Edison to handle. And if Edison's made some kind of error on your house, they have to fix it. It's not to be absorbed in the cost of doing the roof. That stuff has to be fixed first before the roof. Another thing, I've been on the phone with these people. We got an in-person conference today. They were trying to claim that in the neighborhood that Mr. Herman lives, that beam that starts at the garage and I guess goes into the living area, under the roof of the living area, was some type of illegal. Well, then almost every house in that neighborhood would be built illegally. Everyone knows a builder has their own trademark or signature or thumbprint on a house or a building that they build. And that just seems to be in the neighborhood. Somehow the beam starts at the garage and goes into the living area. They can't even get the square footage right. And this is Los Angeles County Development Authority. They can't take the garage and the living area and get it right. And then they tried to say that the patio was a living area. No, it's enclosed, but it's not heated. It's not cooled. There's no plumbing to it, no water, just an enclosed patio so you can shelter yourself from some of the heat on extreme heat days. Now, if it's $25,000, up to $25,000, but they were going to eat away everything, and it was going to be coming out of his pocket, probably, I figured, at least to the tune of $5,000 or more by the time the bureaucrats were messing it up big time. And so you need to take that in consideration. Now, I know this is well-intentioned.
Can we have the speaker stand?
Hopefully you'll cut the red tape. The red tape will kill things. It will kill the best of intentions. Will leave her high and dry and on the street by the time they get through this agency and that agency and everything else. So you need somebody basically to hold the lady's hand through the process, because right now, emotionally, she's probably not able to handle it. And you need to walk the person through. And if done, somehow people could say, hey, government's somewhat working. I say somewhat because you never know. There could be brown bags of money involved. I'm not pointing.
You got to stick to the subject.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of these things have a lot of padding. Would you believe that Mr. Herman's house, according to the original estimation, had wheels under the house?
Can you stick to the subject?
I am. Okay, that was an LACDA assessment. Wheels under the house. The house is on grade slab. If it was off grade, there would be a possibility. But on grade slab, there's no wheels under the house. That's a padded expense. And you'll find when you start going over these things with a tooth comb, you never know what you're going to find. It's like Happy Halloween all year round. So I want people to look at it just a little bit closer. I hope this lady gets back on her feet as soon as possible. I hope the business is producing revenue for the city, everything else. But you've got to handle it in a way that's humane. I know community development block grants, they're kind of like blank checks to slush funds. That's the only way I can really look at a community development block grant, is some type of a slush fund. And it doesn't always work. I'm not saying it's the community redevelopment agency or successor agencies or those things that are providing jobs to city employees and no services to people, but I am for this victim more than anybody else, more than any bureaucrat, any high-paid person, city manager, no offense, not ours, but I'm sure he's got fellow ones like Paul Phillips who are great at embezzling. So I want to be certain, no hanky-panky, no funny business, and take your few seconds back, but give her a fair shake.
Okay, we're going to close public hearing. So we're closing the public hearing, testimonial portion of the public hearing, and ask the council's discussion, but I think we're done with the discussion, right, council? I'm not sure. Yes? Okay. So now the motion is in order to direct staff to develop a draft.
Move the motion to approve, please.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
A motion by Councilman Wu and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai to approve our public hearing item. Public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2023-2024 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan. Councilman Contos?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai?
Aye.
Mayor Diaz?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0, Mayor.
Okay, let's move on to reports.
Madam Mayor,
Councilman Contos?
for the public's reference, I have just, this morning I submitted to the city manager's office a 20-page detailed report that lays out all of my activities since December 20th, 2022. And it includes 12 different areas of action, along with a readout of the different meetings that have occurred, as well as different next action steps for addressing a number of different topic items. So that will be posted probably within the next day or two, but I just wanted to alert the public that report has already been filed for publishing online.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, any requests? Council requests?
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Councilman Contos?
I was wondering if we could direct city staff to get in touch with Caltrans. There's a situation on the freeways where there's roughly about a foot and a half between the actual pavement and the landscaping, where there're just weeds that are apparently growing all over. And I actually had some checking done, and it turns out that there are weeds growing along the West Covina border, but other places like Baldwin Park, it's not that way. And so if there'd be a way that staff could please look into getting in touch with Caltrans to get that cleaned up, so that way the weeds don't continue to grow the way that they are. It's just really problematic, and it makes our city look bad as people drive through the area. And plus, it's Caltrans' responsibility, and if they can do that for other cities by making sure to have ivy that grows nice to cover graffiti or to stop graffiti from growing, they should do the same sort of thing with maintenance with regard to like county land that goes through or is right next to our city.
Does that require a second or anything like that? No? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Councilman Contos?
I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
Nobody else.
I really, just in light of everything that's transpired tonight with the earlier presentation with the Quiche Nation and everything, it's very. I'm just going to just keep this brief because it's just weighing on me. So I would like to ask if the city manager could look into consideration of the possibility of the removal of Mayor Pro Tem Brian Tabatabai from the position of Mayor Pro Tem, and it's just a consideration.
Do we need a second?
Do we need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, so roll call.
I don't think it's.
Yeah, to clarify, that's a Mother May I request to have that placed on a future agenda?
Yes, just for agenda, just for consideration.
But we have a first and a second. Councilman Contos?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tabatabai?
No.
Mayor Diaz?
Aye.
It'll be placed on a future agenda.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our meeting. And at this time, I just want to adjourn our meeting. Thank you.
Okay.